the next case.
All parties in the matter of Livingston versus Goebel, step forward, please.
Electrician David Livingston is suing his former friend, 29-year-old nurse's assistant Kimberly Goebel, for a series of unpaid loans. David says he met Kimberly on the internet, and she played him for a fool.
Mr. Livingston, it is your claim that the defendant, who you met on the internet and had started a relationship with, owes you for 2 loans that you made to her.
Correct.
How old are you, sir?
40.
Ever been married?
Yes.
More than once?
No.
How long?
Well, a little over a year.
Long time ago?
Yes, 13 years.
So you've been single ever since? You're looking for the right girl?
Well, one day.
She's not it.
I understand that. It was never that way, Your Honor.
No. I'm just telling you.
Right.
She's not it. When did you start communicating with Miss Goebel on the internet?
It was about June or July of last year.
And when for the first time did you meet her?
Probably about a month after we started talking.
Of 04?
Yes.
Where did you meet her?
We first met, she needed some stuff. She needed some feminine stuff. And so she asked me as a favor, as a friend, and I went and took her some feminine materials.
That's the first time you met her?
I believe so, Your Honor.
You mean you communicated on the internet and she said, I have to go get some feminine hygiene stuff, and you said, okay, I'll come and pick you up?
There was a lot of history behind that, Your Honor, because we had talked on the phone also. We talked on the phone also.
I don't care whether you talked on the phone. I don't care whether you blew up balloons together, whether you sent pigeons to each other's homes. Doesn't make any difference to me. It just seems very peculiar that the first time that you meet a woman, she takes you to the drugstore to buy her feminine products.
Well, you know, I do have to correct myself, Your Honor. I believe the first time we met, we went to a bar for a beer.
Now that sounds like a thing. Is that what happened to Miss Goebel?
And the whole time that we were sitting there communicating, she was on the cell phone the whole time.
Listen, Mr. Livingston, if now you're telling me that the first time you met, she sat on the phone talking to somebody, and then you gave her money sometime in the future, that doesn't make you look too smart.
Well, I understand that, Your Honor, but
okay,
it was...
good. So, August is when you met for the first time.
Correct.
Now, I'd like you to tell me when you gave her money for the first time.
It was in,
The
November?
questions are going to get harder, sir. Your lawsuit involves 2 different dates that you gave her money.
Correct.
Those should be right up there, because the questions are going to get more complex after that.
Okay. It was approximately 1st of September.
So, within a couple of weeks of meeting her.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, tell me about that.
Well, she had always played this hard luck story. She was trying to change her life. Said she'd quit drugs. She was trying to get away from the people that she was hanging out with. And when I was down and out, somebody was there to help me. And she pretty much played me that she was a wounded duck and she was trying to change her life. She said if she didn't get her phone bill paid, she couldn't talk to her mom, she couldn't talk to those people that were important to her. And so it didn't happen overnight. She asked me several times, and there were several times that I said, Kim, quit calling me. And she would also call back and say, you know what, I'm sorry, I understand, and can we be friends? I said,
so
sure.
you gave her how much to pay for her phone bill?
I actually paid it for her. I went down to Smith's, got a money order, and mailed it in for $50 for her cell phone bill.
Oh, okay, and the next?
The next was she bought a car.
When?
She purchased a car in February of this year.
So since August, you've been in a relationship with You're talking about February
Friendship.
2005.
Friendship.
So between September and February, I assume she didn't pay you back the $50.
Correct. She kept saying that there was a lawsuit, she was going to get a settlement.
There's my uncle who's coming and is going to help me get straight.
Correct.
How much money did you give her in February?
Again, it was not an overnight situation. Okay.
How much money did you give her in February?
It was a little over $220, somewhere right.
Okay, so that's what she owes you.
She owes me that, and also for her insurance. I paid her insurance for her.
How much was that?
$50.
What's next?
Well, basically what happened is that her birthday was in March, 2nd of March, and I called her. She is trying to make this into a relationship gone bad. It is not a relationship gone bad. She made a verbal promise to me, and that's all that matters. I did buy her something for her birthday. I bought her a necklace that said Friends on it. Okay, I since took it back to Walmart. But, okay, but the situation is that she is very, very good about manipulating somebody's feelings to make you think that you are her friend.
Well, that's what she did to you, sir.
That's exactly what she did to me.
No, I did not.
Who do you live with?
I'm living with my ex, which is my baby's father.
How old is your baby?
2.
Do you have only one child?
No, I have 3.
Where are the other 2?
They're living with me.
Did you ever go out with Mr. Livingston and your 3 children?
Well, he came over to my son's birthday party.
And when did the father of your youngest child come back into the picture?
Well, I was living with him at the time, and he was my friend, and he came over to the birthday party.
So you were living with your boyfriend?
Well, he's my ex. I've been separated for like a year and a half.
Did you know that he was living there, Mr. Livingston?
Yes, I did.
Did you know who he was?
Yes, I did. And what I asked her is, I said, I have never in my life heard a situation to where a girlfriend and boyfriend break up and they're living together. Why is he living there, Kim? She says, because if I don't let him live there, he is not going to let me see my child. He's going to withhold my child from me. Your Honor, I come from a situation to where my ex held my children from me, and I was sensitive to that. Okay?
Mr. Livingston.
Yes, ma'am.
It sounds to me you were a little bit smitten with the defendant, because otherwise you wouldn't have even asked that question, right? So it sounds to me as if
that is not
was...
true, Your Honor. She was trying to better her life, and she could not better her life when he wasn't working, he wasn't paying for groceries, he wasn't doing anything but sucking her dry.
Mr. Livingston, if you want to be a benevolent guy, and if you want to be a mentor, there are kids there in the Boys and Girls Club that you can mentor.
I understand.
You were mentoring Miss Goebel because you were smitten with her.
No, ma'am, that's not true.
Yeah, well, I don't believe that for a second. I don't believe that for a second, sir.
I also got a call from her ex, and he basically said, what kind of trouble do you want with me? And I said, you know what, this is none of your business. If you call here again, I'm going to file suit on you. He called right back and he said, the disciples are going to be after you.
Mr.
Okay?
Livingston,
So,
all very interesting, sir.
thank you, Your Honor.
Fascinating. Can I see the card that you are dying to show me, Bird? Would you get that card for me, please?
Sure.
May I explain that card, Your Honor?
Yes.
Your Honor, this card was...
Yes, now you can explain this love card.
Thank you, Your Honor. She had asked me a lot of times to fix her car. I said I could not financially do it. When I could finally do it, I said, is he leaving tomorrow? And she said, yes. I said, well, that would be a better environment, because I didn't like the guy. I didn't like him around. He was an idiot. He was aggressive, everything else. So anyway, so I felt better working by myself without having him around. Not because I was closer to her, but because it was a better environment for me. Because he's a violent
Get to the card, Mr. Livingston.
Yes, ma'am. So she calls me and says, I want a relationship with you. I said, what are you talking about? You know, that's quote, end quote, I want a relationship with you, Dave. And I said, you know what, you don't have to do this, Kim. I'm your friend. I'm going to fix your car regardless. You don't have to say that.
So?
So I was out of town for 2 days. I got her that birthday present, that $40 friendship necklace. And when I came back, all of a sudden, I mean, this was really weird. I called her.
Could you give me the
Yes.
Get to the card,
I'm going to
Mr.
get to the card,
Livingston.
ma'am.
It says, I love you.
I bought her the
always
card
wanna be
because
with you.
when I got back from out of town, we had a fight. Because now understand, I had spent 2 nights over there. You said that I was interested in her. I spent 2 nights over there, and I didn't lay a hand on her. Okay. The card was given to her because there was an interest there. Okay, but
Mr. Livingston.
Yes, yes, Your Honor.
I'm getting older by the second, sir. Listen to me very carefully, Mr. Livingston.
Yes, Your Honor.
The fact that she said to you, I want a relationship with you, doesn't answer the question. I said to you, were you smitten with her? You said no.
I was not.
But I'm speaking.
Yes,
you
Your
said
Honor.
no. You said I cared about her because she was a human being and people helped me when I was trying to turn my life around and I was trying to help her. It had nothing to do with a romantic feeling. So the fact that, listen to me very carefully, try to put on your listening ears.
Yes, ma'am.
The fact that she says to you, I want a relationship with you, your response is, Kim, I don't feel that way about you. I want to be your friend and help you because I'm a human being, and from one human being to another, I have no romantic interest in you at all. The fact that she said to you, I want a relationship with you, doesn't mean you send her a love letter. Unless you are smitten with her, Mr. Livingston. Now, you can talk until you're blue in the face, until I'm tall and you're short, but that's the truth of the matter.
Then, Your Honor.
No, cross it off. If you're looking for a mate, sir, she is not it. Put a period. It's over. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Very well.
Your Honor,
Goodbye.
I can recover.
Good luck. Have a happy life. Cross it off. It's money down the sewer. It's over. Goodbye. Not alone.
Parties are excused. You may step out. That's case number 18 on the calendar in the matter of Weiss versus Sellers. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have seats.
Miss Weiss, you and Mr. Sellers were engaged to be married. You are no longer engaged. You are no longer involved. You claim he owes you some money.
Yes.
Mr. Sellers says he owes you absolutely nothing. And if you think he owes you some money, sell the engagement ring. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. When did you become engaged?
In December of 2004.
Just for my own curiosity, when did you buy her the ring?
In December.
What kind of a ring did you buy her?
Engagement ring.
Cheap one.
Well, let me see it.
You want to see
You're
it?
wearing it. I wouldn't.
Little ring.
What?
Can I have a tissue, please?
Why, who's chewing gum? Both of them?
You gonna give me a piece of tissue or what? Thank you. You got gum? Cool. All right. Here you are.
Thank you. Oh, that's a very sweet ring. Tell me about when he gave you the ring.
He proposed to me on Christmas and asked me to marry him. He just said, "Will you marry me?" And just gave me the ring.
He handed you the box? When you opened it up, were you excited? Is not an answer.
No, I was not. I was hesitant and felt uncomfortable since he did it in front of his family, and I felt like I didn't have a choice of whether to say. Felt pressured to marry him.
Well, did you wear the ring on New Year's Eve?
I did.
Were you still with his family?
Yes.
Did you wear the ring until you broke up?
I took it off once I got home.
When did you get home?
I think it was January 4th.
When did you break up?
A couple weeks after. He wanted me to move with him to Oklahoma, drop out of school, and start a family with him, and work part-time for the rest of my life. And I decided that wasn't
That wouldn't
what
have
I
been
wanted.
very smart,
Yeah.
Mr. Sellers, for her to do that. How much did you pay for this ring?
$750.
You know he's entitled to the ring back, don't you?
Yes. He told me, I asked him, and he said I could keep it. But I think it's only fair if I give him his ring back, I get my money that he owes me.
Well, is that right?
Yes.
Hey! Look at this happy ending.
I know.
Well, so that would be wonderful,
It
right?
would,
You wouldn't
yeah.
mind if you got back the ring and let's say you could sell it. She's claiming a loan, $300 loan because you went to Oklahoma. Is that where you live?
Yes.
It's her claim that this was a loan that she gave you to go to Oklahoma so that you could buy clothes and traveling expenses and that sort of thing. And you said, well, you went together. You both spent money.
Yes.
Is that right?
No.
He didn't spend any money?
No, he got kicked out of the Navy, so therefore he had no money because he was broke.
Well, where did he get the money for the ring?
That's from his old checks, like his previous checks, and he stopped getting paid once he got kicked out.
When did you get kicked out of the Navy?
December of 04.
How come?
Drug use.
Went AWOL.
Didn't like the Navy anymore?
Dishonorable.
Okay. Would you kindly give him back the ring? Now you have the ring. And you can sell it, right?
Yes.
Now, telephone.
Yes.
Let me hear about the telephone.
He didn't have any money. He said he needed a phone. I bought him a brand new phone. He said, I promise I will pay you back. I will pay for the bills once I get my feet on the ground and start getting a job in Oklahoma.
Did you get your feet on the ground?
Kind of.
What do you mean, kind of?
I had a part-time job.
So he never got his act together.
He did actually pay the bills for the first couple of months, but then stopped paying them.
And he canceled the service.
Yes, he changed, which also added a deactivation fee because he had to switch. He switched the telephone company.
How old are you, Miss Weiss?
19.
Who is this gentleman?
This is my father, and that's my classmate, Lorenzo.
I want you to consider yourself very, very fortunate. Because, you know, you could have actually moved to Oklahoma.
I know.
Working part-time, raising a whole mess of kids, no education. Got to look up and say, thank you, God. You were watching over me. All it cost you was a couple of $100.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. Did you pay your own phone bill?
For a couple months.
What happened?
Well, I lost
Well
my
is not an
job.
answer, Mr. Sellers.
I lost my job and I couldn't pay for it, and I tried to pay half of it because it was up to $300, and I paid $150 of it. But I just never got around to pay the rest of it.
Well, you think that that's right, or you agreed to pay for it?
It's not right.
Now you got the ring. You're going to sell the ring. How much do you owe her for the phone bill that you didn't pay?
I'm not really sure how much exactly.
Well, she's going to tell me.
$500.
What?
Over $500.
Really? Let
Yes.
me see.
I don't have the bills. I know.
Listen to me, my dear.
Yes.
You filed a complaint in which you say that you loaned him $300 that he used for these travel necessities,
Yes.
which I'm discounting. Put
Okay.
your hand down, sir. You can't help her. She's got
Sorry, Your
into
Honor.
this mess by herself. She's got to get out of it by herself. Maybe she'll learn a good lesson if she gets out of it by herself. So, you have to get the bills. You don't have the bills. How am I supposed to know? He doesn't know what the phone bill is, and you don't know what the phone bill is. That's the first thing that you know. You come to court, and you're supposed to have evidence. If you don't have evidence, I can't help you. Now, you changed phone carriers.
Yes.
Do you know that there's a penalty for that?
No, I did not know that.
He knew.
What was the fee for disconnecting the service?
$175.
That sounds about right, Bert.
Sounds about right to me.
And I assume, again, you do not have any proof of that. What did you come here with other than your smile?
I don't know.
I don't understand. I really don't understand, Miss Weiss. You want to say something, sir? You're dying to say something, so stand up. I mean, you are the responsible person. You're the person who's been through life, who has certain life experiences. You know when you come to court, you come with?
Evidence, Your Honor.
So?
We attempted to get a copy of the phone bill because of the other party lived in Oklahoma. The phone bill came to Oklahoma and never came to our house in San Diego. There was a $405 balance on the phone and a $175 cancellation fee that Verizon's coming after us for. And we feel that the other party should pay for the phone because he used it.
I absolutely agree with you,
But
sir.
we don't have evidence.
It's the evidence. Now, how much do you believe you owe her on the telephone bill? I'm trying to be as fair to you, Miss Weiss, as I can. You're young, not too swift. How much do you think you owe, Mr. Sellers?
All of it.
How much?
600 and however much.
She didn't say it was $600, Mr. Sellers. I mean, it's absolutely impossible for me to fly blind. You said the phone bill was $500. He said, I owe all of it, $600. I mean, it's stupid. It just changed. Take the ring out of your pocket. Then you put it in the other pocket. Dig deeper. Bird, would you give her back the ring, please? Just changed my mind. Now, Miss Weiss, this is what you're going to do. He got taken when he spent $700 for that ring, but there's no question in my mind that you could probably sell it for $300. So sell the ring. I'm going to give you $250 in addition to the ring to help defray the cost of this phone bill. Do you understand?
Yes.
Is that fair, sir?
Yes.
Perfect. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He's broke. No education, no job. Basically, what was there good about him?
We really don't talk to each other anymore.
He's stupid.
She agreed to it. It was her idea too.
Don't be nice and don't help out someone when they're not going to help you out.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Horn Torres versus Cunningham. Step forward, please.
25-year-old homemaker Deanna Horn Torres is suing dog trainer Brian Cunningham for injuring her dog Buster during a session. Brian says he did nothing out of the ordinary.
Miss Torres?
Yes.
And this is Buster.
Yes.
And Buster was behaving badly. How old is Buster?
He's 4 months.
Where did you get him?
We got him from a breeder.
What kind of dog is he?
He's a boxer.
Did the breeder tell you that boxers are hard to train?
No, she didn't.
Is he hard to train?
He's doing better, but he is a little difficult. Yes, he is.
He doesn't look interested in what's going on here, I'll tell you that right now. Well, according to what your complaint states, because you were having some difficulty in training Buster on your own, you asked your vet for a recommendation.
Yes.
Had you used this vet before?
Yes.
You think that the vet that you used was a good one?
Yes.
And your vet recommended Mr. Cunningham
Yes.
and said he was a good dog trainer.
Yes. Uh-huh.
You made an agreement with him. I think his whole fee was $525, and you paid him, and it is your claim that he hurt your dog during the training sessions, and you want a full refund.
Yes.
The $525 that you paid Mr. Cunningham was for how many sessions?
He didn't give me an amount. He said he would come to my house until I was completely satisfied. He didn't tell
Is that
me
what
how
you
long
said?
it would take.
I offer everybody. It's a 6-week course or until the dog is completely trained.
What kind of train? You mean potty trained, crate trained?
Housebreaking, chewing, digging, obedience is how we do it.
What if you get a really dumb dog?
There aren't really very many dumb dogs. It's just folks, you've got to follow up with the instruction I give you.
What about stubborn dogs?
Very stubborn sometimes. Buster's a stubborn dog. There's no doubt about it.
I have a very stubborn dog. But she has to be very, very well trained.
That's good.
All right, Ms. Torres, tell me what happened.
He had came 3 times to my house. The first day, Everything went fine. The second time he came, there was a pink mark around the dog's neck, and he told me it was because the dog was a white dog and it would go away. And it did. Within 2 hours, it was gone. And so the next time he came, the dog ran under the bed to hide. Well, whenever he came out...
That's all right. You can leave him alone. He's fine.
As soon as he put the collar around the dog's neck, the dog snapped at him. And so when he was being rough with him, we asked him, why are you being so rough? And he said that he had to do it to keep him from snapping at people. So we said, okay, well,
You mean the dog bit the inside of his mouth?
Yes. And so at that time, we ended the session. He took the collar off the dog, and the dog ran underneath the bed. And when I went to the dog, I had noticed the injuries that I do have pictures of. And my husband talked to Brian later on the phone and told Brian that we didn't want his services anymore. We couldn't have him abuse our dog.
Okay, so let me see the photographs that you took. Okay, Mr. Cunningham, I'll hear you.
Your Honor, I've been training dogs for 17 years. I have 2 witnesses to tell you what kind of trainer I am.
Tell me your name.
Barbara Fuquay.
Step up, please. Are you just a satisfied customer?
Oh, I'm absolutely satisfied.
What kind of dog do you have?
I have a Maltese, Sophie.
Little one.
She's very small, yes. She's about 5 pounds.
Does she bark?
Well, actually, she does not bark. No, not usually.
Good.
Yes, I know. I'm so happy with her, and I'm so happy with Brian.
Okay. You, sir?
My name is Victor McDougall, and Brian has trained 2 dogs for me. The first one was Tara, and she had a little problem with liking to chew on furniture and stuff. And, you know, Brian helped me train her and get her out of that. And most people would tell me that, boy, I wish my kids listened as well as my dog. So, yeah, so that's always good to hear.
Okay. Have a seat. So this is my problem, Mr. Cunningham. I believe that you are a good dog trainer.
Thank you.
And I believe that because their vet that they have tremendous confidence in recommended you.
Yes.
And you bring 2 witnesses who I have no reason to doubt that say that you've been wonderful with their animals. This didn't work out. Whether you pulled a little too hard, whether the dog bruises easily, I don't know what happened. But these people did not cause this injury to the dog. I can understand they're being upset. Does it sound like you're losing yet, sir?
No, it doesn't.
Good. Perfect. Would you give these to Mr. Cunningham, please? We have to know when to...
Okay.
Take them back now, please. Now, you have a whole bunch of satisfied customers. And I don't think that, based upon what these people tell me, that this is standard fare for you, because otherwise their vet would not have recommended you, and you have satisfied customers. So if these people are not satisfied, you should have given them back their money and said, in 17 years, I never had this kind of problem. I don't want this kind of problem now. My time is too valuable.
Your Honor,
yes,
if I may, I believe that I should be paid for my time. If I show up 4 times and they refuse to accept any of my, I understand that. The dog, you know what, here's the thing, had they been working the dog every week, only 10 minutes a day, that would not have been the case
Mr. Cunningham,
ever.
you know how kind I was just being to you before, a moment ago? I was being kind to you because like 10 million people are going to watch this. A lot of them have dogs. So I was trying to be kind and say, you're a wonderful dog trainer.
Well, I am.
This was an aberration. You should have just said, going to return your money, and that's it. But since you don't seem to get it, what I'm going to tell you is this, sir. If you went to their house first time and then came back for the next session and you found that they weren't following your direction,
Yes.
at that point you could have said, just a minute, I can't work this way. I'm not going to treat this dog in any way that's
in any
way that's rough, that's going to leave this kind of bruising. Here's your money back, not the 4th time you came to the house, but the 2nd time you came to the house and said, I can't work with you people. I could work with that dog, but I can't work with you. So here's your money back. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $525. Clearly, this dog is not intimidated by anything, not even my voice.
No, ma'am.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Yeah, this is case number 30 on the matter. Okay, Your Honor, this is case number 30 in the matter of Rav Giala versus Roberts.
Thank you.
Get a little tongue-tied now and then. The parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
What's your first name?
Jennifer.
How old are you, Jennifer?
I'm 18. I just turned 18 3 days ago.
Order.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
How old are you, Mr. Roberts?
23.
What's your first name?
Raymond.
Jennifer, Raymond was your boyfriend.
Yep.
You claim he owes you some money. Not a whole lot of money. $300 some odd.
Yep.
He said he owes you the money for the following 2 items. You gave him $100 in which to put down as a deposit for the limousine for your senior prom.
That's right.
And you had an argument, and he kept the money, and he didn't take you to the prom. And you acknowledge that you kept the $100.
I guess I did.
And then you say that over the course of your relationship, you sold candy for school, and he took your candy money. And about that, Mr. Roberts says, she took me out for dinner, and we went places together.
That's not true.
I'm just telling you what he says. That's his answer. Then you say that he came to your house when you weren't home with a police officer and took a Christmas gift that he had bought you.
That's right.
Which was?
Supposedly it was a stereo. I did buy a stereo, but it was not a gift.
A stereo that was in her house.
A stereo that was at her house.
And you took that, and you want the value of that back, or the stereo back.
Yep.
You say it was a Christmas gift.
Yep, it was.
Now, Raymond says that you owed him money for a Sprint bill.
That's not true.
Just telling you what he says. And that he merely was collecting on that. That's what the $100 was for?
Yep,
as well as the stereo.
The stereo, no. The stereo was mine. I was taking it back.
And Raymond is counterclaiming. He said because you and your mother sort of overreacted to a little argument you were having and had him arrested for kidnapping you.
He was never arrested.
Shh. And he was forced to defend these charges temporarily, right?
Right.
How old was she when you started to date her, Raymond?
17.
And how old were you?
At the time I was 22.
Not terrible, not terrific. What did she owe you money for?
She owes me money for a Sprint bill for the 2 months.
Now, how is it that you're paying her Sprint bill?
I have 2 phones, and I let her use one of my other phones. And we agreed that...
Just a minute. You got a phone for yourself.
Yes, I've had
And
a
you
phone.
Gave her a phone.
Yes, under my name.
And when did you do that? How long ago?
I think it might have been sometime in October. I might have given her the phone, September, October.
She was 17.
Correct.
And you had an agreement with her.
Yes.
And what was your agreement?
That I would split the bill in half. I'd pay my half, she'd pay her half.
That's not right.
So what you're telling me is you had a verbal contract with her.
Correct.
You can't.
You can't.
Right. She's not old enough. She's not old enough to make that contract. She has to be 18 in order to make a contract that's valid and binding. So, Raymond, that's one of the downsides of dating a younger woman.
I'm learning that now.
So she owes you diddly.
Okay.
So let's start with you owe her $100 for the limousine.
Okay.
So $100, Jennifer, is on your side.
Yep.
Now, I don't want to hear about the candy money. I want you to forget the candy money. If you were dumb enough to give him candy money or to spend candy money, I don't want to hear about it. Yes, you want to say something? It sounded like you were winning the candy money.
No, she still has belongings of mine at her house.
I'm not there yet.
Okay.
We are now on the stereo
All right.
that she says was a Christmas present, and you said was just yours.
This is fine.
When did you get the stereo?
Christmas Eve was put in my house, and my mom was actually there. And he actually said to her, you know, this is a Christmas gift. I bought it for her.
And it was in your house starting Christmas time?
Yep.
When did you take it out of the house?
I think it was like March.
So, December to January, January to February, February to March. It was in her house for 3 months.
Correct.
Who do you live with?
My grandparents.
Do you have your own room?
Yes.
You have a stereo?
No.
So if you bought the stereo in December, I assume that that's what the receipt says, that it was purchased in December?
Correct.
What date in December?
The 17th, which she was with me.
If it was purchased in December and you don't have a stereo in your room, why didn't you take it to your house?
I was letting her use it.
Baloney. Let me see the bill. You have the perks of a younger woman, you have to have the plagues of a younger woman. Plague is she's not old enough to make a contract. Okay, so this whole thing cost $189?
Correct.
Where's the stereo now?
At my house.
In your?
In my room.
In your room?
In my room.
Where it would have been from the very beginning if it was bought for you. Now, a couple of other questions just for my own information, sir. What did Jennifer get you for Christmas?
Electric shaver and a couple of shirts.
A couple of shirts?
Yes.
What did you get for Jennifer for Christmas? See what I mean? Got where I'm going?
Yeah.
Raymond? Got where I'm going?
Yes, I do.
Good. So we have $289 on your side, because now Raymond gets it. Right, Raymond?
Yes.
Didn't think fast enough.
Yeah.
Now we're going to get to your counterclaim.
Okay.
You had an argument in the car.
Correct.
What date?
March 5th to be exact.
And the argument was about your being cheap?
If you want to put it that way.
What?
If you want to put it that way.
Well, that's what it was about. You're being cheap. You're mooching off her. I mean, I read the complaint.
No, I wasn't mooching off her. I was just asking her for, simple money for the bill. That's all.
That's what she was complaining. Don't play with paper around me. So you're having the argument in the car.
Correct.
And what happened?
We got in a major argument about money, both the Sprint bill and everything. And she said, I'm not going to pay for the bill. I don't have to pay for the bill. I was like, well, you used the phone. I think you should be responsible for the charge if you're going to use the phone. And she said no, and I says, fine. You want to be that way towards me? I will take the limo money, and I'll use that limo money to cover your part of the bill since you want to pay me the money. And we'll take it from there. It'll be fine. Well, from that point on, she decided to call her mother and say I was threatening her, made a huge big deal out of everything. She said, bring me home, bring me home, bring me home. I said, fine, I'll bring you home. When she told me she wasn't going to pay the bill, when she was on the phone with her mother, I actually called Sprint, and I had the phone shut off right then and there. And I guess that's when her mother panicked and decided to call the state police and the cops, and I had the cops.
That was really stupid of you, Raymond.
Yeah.
Girl is talking to her mother, right? So her mother knows she's safe, she's well. You pick up your cell phone, and you call Sprint, and you say, cut off the other number?
If that was my phone,
I was.
how could I cut it off?
Listen, don't speak.
I
I'm
was
not talking to you.
All right.
I was not expecting them to shut off right then and there, because I didn't think they could shut off.
What
the
did you
phone with
say to
phone
them
service.
to have them shut it off right then and there?
I asked them if they could shut off the service, and basically you can't have incoming or outgoing calls.
And they said okay?
They said fine, but I didn't think they could do it during a phone call. My mistake.
Well, you found out that they could.
Yeah, I did, the hard way.
Tell me what happened. Were you arrested? Were you
No, I
charged with anything?
No, I was not arrested.
Well, then what happened? So
Just
what
the
do you...
embarrassment of a false restraining order because...
Okay, so they took out a restraining order against you?
Took out a restraining order on me a couple days later.
You have a copy of the allegations that you made in the restraining order? Raymond.
Yes.
You ever been arrested before?
Long time ago.
How long ago?
Maybe 4 or 5 years ago, maybe. Yeah.
Nothing since.
Nothing.
You work? You have
Yes, I work.
Nice job?
Decent job.
What do you do?
Actually, I'm training to be a manager at McDonald's right now.
So you're working at McDonald's?
Correct.
Okay. You don't look like a bad guy, Raymond. You don't look like you have a bad temper. Does he have a bad temper?
Oh, yes.
Never touched you, did he?
No.
You have a bad temper?
No.
Huh?
No.
She have a bad temper?
She has her moments. she has her moments that she
When
can
I'm
flip
with
out.
you.
Oh.
Well, either you have a temper or you don't have a temper. You understand? Daughter sometimes has a temper?
Yeah.
Sometimes. Do you think you overreacted to this a little bit?
I don't. I was scared if he shut off my cell phone.
Well, see, Raymond, that was your mistake. Do you understand?
Yes.
That was really your mistake. Aside from the fact that when this happened, she was 17. Dating a minor is an issue. I can imagine how her mother felt. She's talking to her daughter. Her daughter's a 17-year-old idiot who's in the car, is having a fight about whatever. And all of a sudden, no, don't speak. And all of a sudden, that conversation is interrupted and she can't get back to her daughter. One day you'll have a daughter. You will understand what that must feel like. You understand?
Yes.
The charges were dropped on this protective order?
Yeah. 2 weeks later on the date that we're supposed to, see if it was going to get extended or not, it got dropped.
Right. Because everybody got cooler. Good. Okay. So, Raymond, next time you'll be smarter. Next time, pick on somebody your own age. You'll be much happier. Look at their birth certificate. Make sure that they're 18 or over before you make a contract with them. Understood?
Understood.
Well, you get $289. $100 for the limo. $189 for his Christmas present that he took back. You, on your counterclaim, get nothing but a good lesson. All right? Thank you very much. Two nice people. Move on with your life. Have a happy life.
What is excused? You may step out.
He was a very controlling guy, and I just figured put it on national television to see the whole world how controlling he is.
It's okay, it sounds fair. My mistake.
I didn't like him from the beginning because she was only 17.
My mother doesn't know how to stay out of things.
When he wanted her to go somewhere, she had to do it.
She's always trying to tell me what to do.
If he didn't want her to go, she couldn't do it.
Not seeing a 23-year-old again.
I didn't like it.
Plaintiff Alice Moore is suing her niece, office manager Kimberly Kayla, for having her falsely arrested for an assault. Kimberly is countersuing, claiming Alice broke her arm.
All rise. Yeah, this is case number 22 on the calendar in the matter of Moore versus Kayla.
Thank you, Bert.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Whew. Family that certainly does not get along well. Miss Moore, the defendant is your niece.
Yes, ma'am.
And it is your claim that she had you falsely arrested for assaulting her last year during the time that your mother was ill and dying.
Yes, ma'am.
You went through a trial recently and were acquitted.
Yes,
found
ma'am.
not guilty. And you're suing her for the false arrest and for the year that you spent facing these charges. The defendant says that the charges were true and that she is counterclaiming for her injuries. Her injuries, I believe, were broken arm.
Yes, ma'am.
When was your mother ill last year?
My mother became ill early in January, but she really got bad in March of, it was 2003.
And when did this incident occur with your niece?
March the 10th, after I flew to Texas to be beside my mother who was dying at her home.
So you tell me your version of what happened, what led up to this incident.
Saturday afternoon, my sister, Brenda, had instructed me to give medication to my mother every 4 hours without stopping. And it put my mother in a very...
What kind of medicine was it?
One was a morphine and the other one was for anxiety.
Did your mother have cancer?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of cancer did she have?
Cancer of the liver.
So the morphine was prescribed to keep her calm.
Yes, ma'am, but on the prescription of the bottle it says every 4 hours as needed. And my question was, that night she was totally out of it, and my brother he was there that night, and he had to pick my mother up out of the bed because she could not move at all. And we did not give her the medication every 4 hours like my sister had instructed, and I had asked my other sister in the morning about the medication.
So that caused a problem with your niece?
They were all upset because I would not give the medication like that. But anyway, Sunday night I left and went out to another sister's house to rest. And when I came that morning on Monday, my daughter and I came back in the afternoon, and I come to the conclusion I couldn't handle seeing my mother's death.
Okay.
Because of my heart condition and my nerves.
Okay, you couldn't handle it. Okay.
And I was talking to my husband on the phone, and I told him he could reach me. I was on the porch, and I told him he could reach me out at my other sister's. Brenda got mad at me, and I don't want to have a consultation with my mother dying.
Why was she angry with you? What was she saying?
She just felt that I was there trying to take over, and she was already had said that she was going to come out there and whip on me on Monday, and I didn't pay any attention to that in a phone call that we had.
Was that over the medication?
Yes.
Is that so far, is that right?
No, ma'am.
Okay, step up. Brenda, what were you angry about?
I wasn't angry with her. I was actually relieved that she was there to help us, because we had 3 months prior of taking care of my mother. Everybody was stressed out. It was a bad time. My sister had called me and she told me that the hospice people had told her not to give my mother the medication except when she needed it. I told her specifically, Alice, when you're there, you do what you need to do. I told her I was calling a meeting with the hospice people on Monday. The whole family would be there. We could all understand. I learned more about death than I ever wanted to know with my mother. And I didn't want to go through this by myself. I wanted my sisters there. I wanted help. Right. So when we asked for a meeting, she said 10 o'clock. my sister couldn't be there. She was so concerned about my mother and the medication, but she couldn't be there to see what the hospice people. We were doing exactly what they said. Exactly what they said.
Which is medicating her every 4 hours and not letting the pain grab hold of
Right.
Well, and
right.
they told
That's
us
exactly how they explained it to her,
Right.
to us. You know, when the pain kicks in, this is how she's going to be. Don't let the
Don't
pain
let it
come.
get there.
You know,
Right.
we'd been there with her. We didn't want to let the pain come. Nobody, you know, she was going to die. We knew that. We wanted it to be peaceful.
I got it.
and that was my mother's wish, to die at home.
Kim, tell me what happened in the kitchen on the 10th of March.
Well, I was in the bedroom with my grandmother, and I heard them in the kitchen. And she's telling her, you know, you took her out of the nursing home. You shouldn't have took her out of the nursing home. She's going to die. She's going to bleed. You know, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. And they were telling her, then leave. You know, that's fine. If you can't take it,
Put your hand down, Miss
leave.
Moore.
You know. And when I looked outside, she was slapping at my mother. And another one of my aunts stepped in. Well, she grabbed her and she threw her down to the floor.
Threw her
Alice
down.
threw my other aunt down.
What's
to
her
the
name?
floor. Her name was Billy.
Go ahead.
And then I was, now of course I had walked in there in the middle of this, and my brother walked in, and she started screaming at my brother. And she was screaming obscenities that you would not believe. And she was, you know, then she started out the door, and my brother went out after her. Well, I went out after him. Then she coming out there, and she's telling me, you know, we need to just call an ambulance for Billy, you know, we need to just go. So I'm going back in the house, and I get the phone to call the police. And as I walk back outside, because I'm hearing screaming now back at the porch. And I'm like, well, I thought she was going to leave. She wasn't leaving. And it's because her daughter over there was telling her, you don't have to leave. They can't make you leave. This is your mama's house. You don't have to leave. You know, her daughter was put in the quarter. And she knows if you push her, she's going to lose it. You know, she has a history of violence and just psychotic behavior. And I look at her and I told her, just go, just get the out of here. You know, so I told her, just get the, and I'm pointing at her, and as I'm pointing at her, she grabs this arm and she pulls me down. Her daughter steps between us, and she popped my arm down over her daughter's shoulder. It broke this bone up here into pieces. They had to go in and put a rod, you know, have a permanent rod in the middle of my bone.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I was leaving and they attacked me. They didn't take my statement. The police didn't let me give a statement. My lawyer will testify to that. Why don't you call her?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Alice Moore says her niece, Kimberly Kayla, had her falsely arrested for an assault. Kimberly says during an argument, Alice broke her arm.
What happened to Billy?
Billy was taken to the hospital also, and she had some sciatic nerve damage in her back.
She was taken to the hospital that day?
Yes. Okay. But Billy and I were both taken to the same hospital in the same ambulance.
What hospital?
To Spine Memorial Hospital.
Do you have a police report for me, please?
Yes.
It's right there.
Okay, Miss Moore, coming back to you. Now we're going to come to the point in this story where you're going to tell me your version of how her arm got broken.
Well, first of all, there was a consultation in the house, and Brenda held me and Kim, and I have a sworn testimony from the court where my attorney said, and you slapped her, and she said yes. At that time, she
Just a second. Who slapped you?
Kim hit me in the face with the telephone while my sister held me in the kitchen and would not let me leave.
Let me see the testimony. Oh, well, she says, do you remember slapping Alice? She said, yeah. I told you in the kitchen when she was pulling my hair and we were going back and forth. And you slapped her? Yes.
But, Judge, I could not be pulling her hair.
Just a minute. Don't explain. You have to read me the whole thing, Miss Moore.
Okay.
She didn't just admit slapping you. She said you were pulling her hair and you were going back and forth and she slapped you.
At the time she slapped me, I had my hands restrained by my sister Brenda.
I would like you to tell me how her arm got broken.
Well, from there, I went outside and was leaving. At that time, her brother stopped me from going to the car. He pounced over the porch and pulled his hand back to hit me. And you're looking at a guy, I wouldn't take my eyes off because he lifts weight and he could have killed me. And he said all kinds of things to me as I was trying to leave. My daughter stood in between us to stop it.
Okay, so your daughter got in between you and her brother.
Right.
Okay.
And as I was looking for my granddaughter, Kim.
Just a second. If your daughter got in between the two of you, why didn't you go back to your car?
I was going, but my granddaughter had the keys to my car.
Where were you looking for her?
Right there in front of my mother's house.
Well, you just have to look. How old is your granddaughter? Is she a little teeny girl?
Yes.
How old is she?
I thought she was about 11 or 12. That's what she looks like.
How old?
She just turned 18, Judge.
So she was 16 at the time?
15. She hadn't turned 16 yet.
15 at the time. Well, you're not looking for her on the ground, madam. Listen to me. If you're looking for your granddaughter who's outside, and the people who are outside, according to you, your nephew, and your daughter, that's 3 people. That's who you told me were outside, and you were looking for your granddaughter around that area.
And Kim came off the porch, charged off the porch with something and hit me in the face, and I could not see. I put my hands up, and I have pictures of where she hit me in the head, and I couldn't see at that time.
Just a second. Hold on a second. Show me the pictures that you have. I don't see anything wrong with your head now.
I had a goose egg right here.
Not according to the police report.
The police did not come and check me out at all or anything. I went to the hospital, to the emergency room.
Let me see the medical records from the hospital. According to the police report, when they spoke to you, there was nothing wrong with you, except you were complaining of chest pains. That's according to 2 police officers. Listen to me. That's what the police said you complained of. Not a goose egg on your head, not being hit on your head. They took you to the hospital for observation because, listen to me, because of the chest pains. What I want you to do is give me the hospital record.
I don't have that part.
Well,
that
that's what
I could not get that part in time for court today.
Well, that's unfortunate because you've had over a year to get that hospital record. Who are you?
I'm her husband, Your Honor.
Were you there?
I talked to her at 7 o'clock.
He was on the phone when I went in to tell him I was leaving.
She was leaving.
Were you there?
No, I wasn't.
My daughter Frankie was there.
Oh, I believe Frankie was there. You can step up, Frankie. I believe you were there.
Yes, ma'am.
How did your cousin's arm get broken?
By her brother yanking her arms. When she had my mother's head, she grabbed my mother by her left hand, with Kim's left hand, by her hair, yanked her head over where she's completely bent over. My mother's face is touching the cement. Kim's brother runs from behind Kim and grabs Kim with his arms like this, and he's pulling her, and she's hitting my mother upside the head with a cordless phone in her right hand, and I grab at the phone, and Scott is pulling Kim at both of her arms backwards. No one touched her arms except for her own brother.
Okay, fine. You can sit down. It's very unfortunate when everybody gets stressed out in a situation where...
What was unfortunate?
I'm speaking. It's very unfortunate when people get stressed and angry because somebody who's close to them is dying. And put the picture down, madam. Pay attention to me. The first mistake that you made was not listening. Your mother was dying of liver cancer. The instructions that you were given to give her morphine every 4 hours were the appropriate instructions. I am not a medical person, but unfortunately I have been in situations where I know that you're not supposed to wait until you are in pain as needed when you are dying. You're supposed to keep medicated so that the pain of liver cancer doesn't take hold. So these people were taking care of your mother for months before you got there. And then you pay attention, try to get it through. And then you come to the scene and decide, this isn't right. The medication says as needed. I'm not going to give her the medication every 4 hours. And everybody is annoyed at that situation because you're sort of a Johnny-come-lately. They've been there for months taking care of the situation, making decisions without you. They took care of, they were the ones who were up at night, they were the ones who were feeding, and all of a sudden you show up and decide to change the rules. Big mistake. You weren't saving your mother's life, Miss Moore. She was going to die. I'm speaking. She was going to die anyway. The question was she going to die peacefully and not in pain ever? Or whether you were going to try, your method of treatment was let her get a little bit uncomfortable and then we'll give her the medication as needed. Unfortunately, you made a mistake in your choice. I do not believe your daughter when your daughter says that you were beaten over the head with a phone, because there is nothing in any of the official records, including hospital records, which you had every opportunity to get over the last year and a half, that suggests that when you were admitted to the hospital for your chest pains, they noted bruising and swelling on your head that would be consistent with your being hit over the head repeatedly, according to you, and according to your daughter, with a cell phone. So I do not believe you were falsely charged. And I believe you broke her arm.
Oh, ma'am,
I believe that you... I'm speaking.
I did not. I was leaving and they attacked me.
Okay.
That's
You
all
may
I
have
was
convinced-
doing was leaving.
You may have convinced
they
you,
wouldn't
Miss
let
Moore.
me leave.
You may have...
I didn't care about what medicine they gave Mother. They attacked me. And they didn't take my statement. The police didn't let me give a statement. My lawyer will testify to that. Why don't you call her?
Listen to me. I don't want to go any further with this, Miss
And I
Moore,
was
because I'm
found not
speaking.
guilty of all
I'm
of
speaking.
those.
I'm speaking. I'm speaking. Speak.
I swear I did not.
Listen to me very
Where's
carefully.
the Bible? I took a lie detector's test even, and I did not touch them.
Your
None of them.
case is dismissed. Did you have any unreimbursed medical bills?
Yes, ma'am.
What were they? Unreimbursed medical
Well,
bills.
I have $7,000 right here.
Judgment for the defendant on the counterclaim in the amount of $5,000. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Now, this is case number 8 on the calendar, the matter of Flynn versus Cavett. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Miss Flynn, how long have you lived in the building where you are currently residing?
I'm not currently residing there any longer, but I lived there for 15 years.
How long have you been out of that building?
1 month.
And how long had Miss Cavett been your upstairs neighbor?
Approximately 1 year.
Did you had any difficulty with her before this incident happened?
Nothing face-to-face, but was always noisy prior to this incident.
Had you ever complained?
No.
And on February 14th, tell me what happened.
On February 14th at 5 p.m., I entered my apartment and discovered that the ceiling and the walls were flowing with steady streams of water. Instantly, I ran to management and asked them if they could assist me in the problem, and informed me that Jasmine Kiveth, the resident above me in number 327.
Don't tell me what they said to you. Pronounce your last name?
Kivett.
Miss Cavett, you were home on February 14th.
Yes.
And you're going to tell me that through no fault of your own, the bathtub overflowed.
Yes.
And it was that overflowing bathtub that caused the damage to Miss Flynn's home.
Yes.
Because it was the bathtub's fault.
No, Your Honor.
Well, that's what I read here. It was the bathtub's fault. The bathtub didn't have an appropriate little hole in it. And even though you left the water running, it was the bathtub's fault for not having a hole.
There was no overflow drain.
Overflow drain. I'm not good at those things. So it was the bathtub's fault because it didn't have an overflow drain.
No, Your Honor.
Whose fault was it?
I was bleaching my bathtub, and there were tons of chemicals. The chemicals were so strong, I had to dilute them. So I left the water running, and I just was doing spring cleaning. It was an honest mistake. The water began to overflow. I did what I could to try and remedy the situation. It was an honest mistake, and she handled it in such a way that I had no choice but to refuse to pay her.
You come from California?
Yes.
What do you do?
I work at a company called Mad Science, and I teach in-class workshops and after-school programs.
You look like a nice young lady.
Thank you.
You're not seriously suggesting to me that you're not responsible for the damage to her apartment and to her things.
I understand that what happened was not her fault at all. She could not help the water coming into her apartment, of course, but the way that she handled it, she attacked me in such a manner. She provided me no evidence when she asked me for money. She wouldn't let me into her apartment to assess the damage, and the two people who were able to see the damage told me that it was very minimal. They had dealt with her numerous times, that she was crazy, and I was beginning to think that she was a little crazy because she would yell at me, cuss at me. She would stand on her balcony demanding money.
Well, this happened on February 14th.
Yes.
So now we've acknowledged, Ms. Cavett, that you were at fault. You lived in that apartment for a year.
Yes.
You know that the bathtub did not have an
overflow drain.
An overflow drain. Yes. This wasn't a surprise bathtub. It didn't sneak it in there,
No.
right, when you weren't looking.
Of course
This was
not.
the same old bathtub that was in there that was dirty because you hadn't been cleaning it all along. So you were bleaching it out and doing other spring cleaning, and you forgot about it.
I knew that the water was diluting the chemicals. It had to. I couldn't just leave the bleach, and it was such a...
Well, if it was diluting the chemicals, the water was
running, of course, yes.
And if the water was running and you didn't check on it often enough, then it was going to overflow
Well, yes.
because it had no...
It had no overflow drain.
Right.
I was under the impression that in the state of California there must be an overflow drain or your plumbing's not up to code.
Okay. All right. There we go. Bert, stand up there, and I don't want to see any of that. I don't want to see any of that. So let me understand something. It was the bathtub's fault that it wasn't up to code. Either that or you thought that somehow between the time you started to bleach the tub out and the time it overflowed, it came up to code and somebody snuck in an overflow hole?
No, Your Honor.
So that you knew that there was no place for this water to go if you left the water running except on the floor. Right?
Yes.
So now we're not talking anymore about liability. We have now, you and I, determined, my dear, that it's not the bathtub's fault that it overflowed.
Of course not.
It's your fault. You were dusting and cleaning and being Martha Stewart and weren't paying attention to what was going on in your bathtub. Now the question is, what are the damages that Miss Flynn, the perfectly innocent bystander to this, suffered as a result of your negligence? Don't laugh at her. Don't smile at her. Just show me the damage.
Well, there was a raw pine dresser. It was in my closet with all of my other clothing and ended up being completely saturated and soaked. It swelled so bad that I couldn't open any drawers.
Okay.
So I replaced a dresser. There was a wool braided rug that was also damaged.
I assume you took photographs?
Yes, I did.
Can I just see them, please?
Sure.
Good. Now, when did you
I went to her apartment and I confronted her and informed her that there was a serious situation occurring in my apartment and that at some point we were going to have to do a damage assessment. For 2 weeks, I didn't hear one thing from her. So I wrote her a letter informing her that I was expecting her to assume responsibility and that I was willing to give her a break on certain items that were damaged because I understood she was having a difficult time.
Okay. So far, I see a lot of walls. You didn't replace any of the walls?
No.
You didn't repaint or anything?
Right.
They did that. Okay. How much did it cost you to replace the dresser?
$216.
You have a bill?
Yes, I do.
Can I see it, please? And the rug?
Haven't replaced it.
How much did you pay for it?
It was $180.
What happened to the Tiffany lamp?
Water came down on the surface area where I had a coffee table. Burned it out. Wouldn't work.
Okay. $489 are what your bills are.
Here is $75 bill to clean my carpet.
Okay, let me take a look at that. Okay. I think that you're responsible for $564 worth of damage to her apartment, including the cost of cleaning carpets. What do you want to show me?
I have a letter in which she states that she bought a rug from Walmart for $39, and now
Right.
she's charging me for a different one for
In place of the one
$200.
for $180.
Let me see the letter. So instead of the rug for $180, you replaced it with a rug for $39?
I said that in this letter, if you'll read it, it's stating that I expected her to assume responsibility and that I would give her a break and I was willing to work with her. That arrangement was created in hope that I didn't have to go to court and sue her.
Okay, the items that she originally indicated to you come to $366.
Yes.
Plus a lot of aggravation.
Your Honor, I tried to work with her. I have a phone bill here.
So what did you offer her?
I called her numerous times.
What did you offer her?
She was harassing me, and I asked to see the damage. I couldn't offer her anything without knowing what I was paying for. All I asked for was a mere photograph or to be let into her apartment to see, I apologized for what happened, but I said, can we work together? Can I see what's going on? I can't just blindly hand you money and say, here, I know there was a flood, so here's all my money. All I asked was to see what happened.
Judge Judy, for 2 weeks, I had to try to wrangle her into coming to take damage assessment, into trying to come to my apartment.
What was the
set up
first
an
date on
appointment.
your phone bill? What was the first date that you called her after the flood?
February 22nd.
That's not enough.
That's not before I had her phone
Listen
number.
to me, my dear. You don't need a phone number. You go up to her apartment, write her a note.
I did. I didn't write a note, but I knocked on the door.
Listen to me. If this happened on February 14th,
Yes.
you going up to her a week later is not sufficient. You calling her on the telephone a week later is not sufficient. She's not going to keep dirty laundry, a rug around while you make time to go up to her house.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You've made this case very, very complex because this convoluted story that you tell me doesn't make sense to me, Mr. Zai. It's a very dumb thing to do.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Stacy Flynn says her former upstairs neighbor, Jasmine Cavett, damaged her apartment when she overflowed her bathtub. Jasmine says it was an accident.
Look, the original bills that you gave her amounted to $366. What you've padded over the next couple of months, because you've been aggravated and annoyed, come to $564. Quite honestly, I believe that your time is worth something.
Thank you.
Your time to clean the premises, the time to get rid of the rug, the time to go out and buy new boots, the time to sop up the stuff, the time to wait for people to come and clean the carpeting. That's worth something. Now, the fact that the defendant says it was an accident, well, it certainly wasn't on purpose. She didn't mean to cause this flood, but she did cause the flood, and she was responsible for the consequences, including your loss of time. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $600. That's all.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I didn't even know her. She apparently didn't like me. I have no idea why.
Completely irresponsible, total drama queen, liar.
I felt unsafe going home. I never knew what she was going to do.
Never once did she even come down to my apartment and ask me if she could help.
Where's my effing money?
Maybe this will teach her a lesson, hopefully.
It's a learning experience.
When she watches Judge Judy, she probably won't ever forget what she did.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Whitmer versus Griffin. Step forward, please.
28-year-old hairdresser Lori Whitmer is suing her ex-boyfriend, ambulance builder DeJuan Griffin, for loans to pay his court fines and to reinstate his driver's license.
Ms. Whitmer, it is your claim that Mr. Griffin owes you some money for court-related matters.
That is correct.
Mr. Griffin says that everything that you ever gave him, they were gifts. Gave him, and there were no loans. There was never any intention to repay you, nor an agreement to repay you. When did you meet him?
December 2003 through some friends of mine at a party that we were having.
And when did you make the first loan?
Well, we were seeing each other up until September of 2004. We were still talking, you know, on an on-off basis, and then I got a call.
So you were casually seeing each other? You never lived together? There was never any discussion of marriage? It was just a casual relationship?
Yes.
Okay. September 2004.
I had gotten a call. He was locked up in jail.
For what?
For driving without a license.
You were locked up for driving without a license, Mr. Griffin?
Yes, ma'am.
How long were you locked up?
5 months.
Shh. Please. Mr. Griffin, that's impossible, sir.
It's not impossible. That's why I was there.
Well, why don't you tell me the story of how you got locked up for 5 months for driving without a license?
Well, I had warrants for tickets that I hadn't paid.
Ah, now we're getting somewhere. So you had outstanding warrants for what kinds of tickets?
Driving without a license.
How many, please? I don't want to have to say it again. Don't make my job any more difficult. How many times were you stopped for driving without a license, Mr. Griffin?
Maybe 3, 4.
You don't learn?
Yeah, I do learn. I have a driver's license now since I got out.
Well, how old were you the first time you got stopped for driving without a license?
19.
And why didn't you have a license?
Because they were suspended.
What was the reason your license was suspended?
Because I had a speeding ticket that I didn't pay.
All right. You see how we're going to get to this? You see how we're understanding each other now, Mr. Griffin? So you didn't spend 5 months in jail because you were stopped for driving with a suspended license, because they don't do that in this country. They do it, sir, if you get caught 5, 6, 7 times driving without a license, and you've got outstanding warrants for speeding tickets which you didn't pay, and outstanding warrants for the other driving while suspended that you didn't respond to, then eventually the criminal justice system has it up to here with you. And that's what happened, right?
Right.
Good. So you were an habitual person who flaunted the criminal justice system by not showing up, by not paying your fines, and by continuing to drive without a license.
I wasn't habitual.
Habitual means that you do it all the time, sir, and habitual is what you were.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Why didn't you ask the mother of your children for the money?
Because she has my 2 sons. She needs whatever she already has.
Well, who does she take care of?
She was taking care of me.
Why would she want to take care of you, Mr. Griffin?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Laurie Whitmer says ex-boyfriend DeJuan Griffin owes for loans to pay court fines after his 6th arrest for driving on a suspended license.
Now, how much did you put up for him to get out of jail?
$947.
That was bail?
No, he was in a work release base, so they were taking money out weekly towards those fines, and then this was towards like a one lump sum so that he can get his license back and to get out sooner.
Okay, now I want you to think back when you went to court, because you were picked up on warrants periodically, is that right?
I have been before.
And you remember going before the judge?
Yes.
And you remember telling the judge that you were going to come back to court, you weren't going to warrant anymore, right?
Yeah.
And you remember telling the judge that you wouldn't drive anymore with a suspended license?
Yes.
How many times did you tell that to judges when they picked you up?
Like I said, I've been there 3 or 4 times.
So each time you told that to the judge that you were going to report to court, and that was a lie, because you didn't, because you had warrants, right?
Right.
And you said that you would not drive with a suspended license. Is that right?
Yeah.
And you continued to drive with a suspended license, right?
Yep.
So you lied to the judge.
Yeah.
And when you lied to the judge, Mr. Griffin, you had previously raised your right hand and sworn to tell the truth. Is that right?
Right.
But you didn't tell the truth, right?
It wasn't intentional, but that's the way it worked out.
You mean somebody drugged you and put you behind the wheel of a car, Mr. Griffin?
No.
You mean at the time that you made the statements to the court, you intended to keep your promise?
Yes.
But some little men that play in your head, you know, they forced you to get behind the wheel of a car and break your promise.
I had to go to work. I had no other way to get there. I have kids to take care of.
You have children to take care of. Do you live with your children?
No.
How many children do you have?
2,
How old are they?
6, and 7.
And you pay child support, sir?
Yep.
How much child support do you pay?
$77 a week.
They take it out of your salary?
Yep.
When you were in jail for 5 months on work release, how much did they take out of your salary for child support?
They didn't, but
Right. So for 5 months, your kids sort of went on hiatus.
No. I was out every day. I paid myself. I gave money to my children's mom.
How much did you give her?
Probably $2,000, $3,000.
You believe that?
I don't know.
Mr. Griffin, there is no question that Miss Whitmer bailed you out so that you could get out. And then she gave you some more money. How much more money did she give you, Mr. Griffin?
$600 maybe.
How much?
$390.
And what was that for, Miss Whitmer?
To help him reinstate his license.
And how did that come about that he needed another $390?
March 3rd, he came to my job. He was dropped off, and he asked me if I would drive him to go to this insurance company to reinstate it.
What did you go to her for?
She offered to pay it for me.
When had you called her to tell her you were coming, and could she make a gift to you of this $390? When had you called her?
She'd known for months that
Don't tell me what she knew. I asked you when you called her, because you wouldn't have gone there, sir.
That morning.
Did he call you that morning?
I believe so that morning, but I didn't know he was coming to my job.
What did he say when he called you in the morning?
That he was wanting to go take his test and just the appointment times and stuff like that, but he didn't say he was being dropped off to go and reinstate it.
He didn't say anything about money?
Not that I recall, no.
When you got there, Mr. Griffin, to her job, she drove you to pay this money?
Yeah, but to say that I just came there and out of the blue sprung up, I need some money when we're at the insurance company, that's not the way it happened.
Well, tell me how it happened, Mr. Griffin.
She knew I didn't have all the money. I called her and told her.
What did you call her and tell her for?
Because she was willing to help me pay it.
No. Why did you call her and tell her?
Because I needed more money.
Why didn't you get another job?
Why didn't I get another job?
That was my question.
I didn't need another job.
You did need another job if you didn't have more money.
I didn't need another job because she was willing to pay for it.
Why didn't you ask the mother of your children for the money? She's closer to you. You made 2 babies with her.
Because she has my 2 sons, she needs whatever that she already has.
Well, who does she take care of?
She was taking care of me.
Why would she want to take care of you, Mr. Griffin?
I don't know.
I don't know either. Who do you live with?
I take care of my 2 sons and a sick mom of mine.
Just a second. You have 2 children?
2 boys.
How old are they?
5 and 2.
Mr. Griffin, are you a lowlife?
No way.
Yes, you are. Mr. Griffin.
Yes.
Let me tell you why you're a lowlife. Because you just said to me, Mr. Griffin, the mother of my 2 children needs all the money that she can get because she takes care of my 2 children.
What's wrong
So
with
that's
that?
why I'm not calling her. Why do you think, sir, that this young lady who has 2 children needs money any less than the mother of your 2 children?
Because she was always willing to give it to me.
You're a lowlife.
I'm not.
You are.
I'm not.
And a taker. And I don't see what she sees in you, sir. Certainly it's very well hidden to me. But you owe her $1,337 because she bailed you out. Next time, if you need money, Mr. Griffin, get another job. You're supposed to do the right thing, and you're not supposed to take advantage of people. Do I make myself clear, sir?
Sure.
Good. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Yeah, this is case number 112 on the calendar in the matter of Neville versus Hubel. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Miss Neville, Miss Hubel?
Yes.
Is your former daughter-in-law?
Correct.
She and your son have been divorced for 5 years? How many children do you have?
Just 1.
How old is that child?
He's 9.
All right, now, Miss Neville, I have a few questions for you. While Miss Hubel was married to your son, did you get along?
Yeah.
Did she come over to your house for dinner?
Well, actually, they lived with me till he was almost 2.
So, she lived with you?
Correct.
Must have gotten along.
Yes, we did.
And when they moved out into their own place, did they still come back with your grandson?
Correct. I babysat him when they worked, whenever they went out.
But then the marriage went south.
Correct.
And it is your claim that your former daughter-in-law has embarked upon a campaign of harassment, slander, defamation of your character that has gone on for a very long time. You want her to pay for that. Ms. Hubel says quite the contrary. When she was in the midst of a custody battle with your son, you called Child Protective Services on her often. You've harassed her over the years with complaints to Child Protective Services and the police.
Oh, yes.
And as a result of that, she's filed a counterclaim. When did the trouble start with Miss Hubel?
My son was taking my younger son Dylan and Jeffrey back to drop him off at his mother's work, the daycare. I was in between my bus routes. I'm a school bus driver. It was pouring down rain. He doesn't drive. So I ran down and gave them a ride up the hill about 1,500 feet to the daycare and dropped him off in front. And my grandson was ecstatic. Grandma dropped him off in the bus. I wasn't on my route. He ran in and I saw him gather all the kids. They came to the window and they're all waving at me. So I smiled and waving at him. She walked over and slapped him and told him to get away from the window. I'm sorry. My older son was there, and they turned from the window. Her and the employees that were friends of hers said, "Let's call the school district and get her in trouble." I didn't know what was going on at the time. I went back on my route. I get a phone call on my bus. My supervisor goes, "Debbie, what's going on?" I go, "I don't know what happened." She said, "Some lady called and said you kidnapped her kid on her bus." And I said, "No, the only thing I did was pick up my grandson and my son." I was mortified.
So that's when the trouble started. What happened with that incident, Miss Hubel?
Actually, what had happened was, after numerous amount of times of her dropping Jeffrey off on the school bus without permission, I called the school district and spoke to her supervisor, with whom I have a letter stating that I was not harassing in any way, and that she was spoken to and told that he was not allowed to ride that school bus because he was not assigned that.
Okay. Had you, in the past, told your mother-in-law that you didn't want him riding the school bus?
No, we were not to be speaking at that time.
Why not?
There was orders.
So that the trouble started before that?
Oh, yes.
Well, then that's what I'm asking. I want to know when the trouble started.
The problem started actually before I left Joshua, my ex-husband. Probably it was the first time that he was arrested for assaulting me. My son was 2 at the time. From that point on, there was no kindling of the relationship with me and Debbie.
Okay. How many times had he been arrested for assaulting you?
Twice for assaulting me. The last time he slammed me into a wall and tore my rotator cuff, and I had to have surgery.
Has he been convicted?
He sure has.
Did he serve any jail time?
Yes, he did.
How long?
He was sentenced to 30 days, but he ended up having an ankle bracelet because of whatever kind of medication he was taking. They wouldn't allow in the jail.
What kind of medication does he take?
Marinol.
What is that for?
I don't. All I know is it's THC in a pill. I don't know what it's for.
What kind of ailment does he have?
None that I'm
Do you
aware
know?
of.
Yes.
What?
He has a cancerous esophagus. He has a heart condition, and he has epileptic seizures. So
Okay.
he's on.
You didn't tell me he was convicted of assaulting his former wife.
I need to clear something up.
Uh-huh.
Number one, the lease was in my name. I rented the building because it gave them an opportunity to have their own place.
I'm not interested in that. My question, Ms. Neville, is I asked you when the trouble began. And what you said was it started over this bus incident, which would have sounded really petty to me.
Yeah.
For her to file a complaint if she had a problem with you. You would all live together, pick up the phone and say, "Debbie, I don't want you dropping Jeffrey off on the bus." But that didn't happen.
Correct.
So the problem started before. And common sense would indicate to me you would have not been happy with your son's arrest for assault and spending any time in jail. And that probably precipitated the bad feeling between the two of you, which predated the school bus incident.
No, it didn't. She misled you on that fact.
No, I
So what you're saying is the assault occurred before the school bus incident.
Oh, yes. This was before we were divorced. The first incident was before we were divorced. The second incident was in February of 2003.
And when was the school bus incident?
January 30th, 2003.
What was the second assault about?
He had came into where I worked, All About Kids, to do a visitation with my son. He came to pick up Jeffrey, and he slammed me into the door jamb of a wall and tore my rotator cuff, took off with Jeffrey. The police came. They went and found Josh and Jeffrey.
What was the altercation about?
A coat. A coat.
Now I understand that you don't like each other. Don't like each other, I don't get involved in. You claim lost wages and punitive damages for defamation of character.
Correct.
You have 1 minute.
She called my boss. I have documentation when she called, and they logged it over to my boss. There's no mention that she's my daughter-in-law, that that's my grandson, or my sons that I'm picking up. It says that unknown people and her son. He was on a visitation with him, and his father gave permission for him to ride the bus. So I have permission to give him a ride on my bus.
No, you don't. No, you don't. Because if there is a court order of visitation, the court order of visitation provides that the child is to be picked up and returned at a specific location.
Correct.
Not by you.
Not by me.
But by his father.
And his father was on my bus. Let me explain, okay?
No. I want you to tell me what the lawsuit is about.
Okay. I'm sorry. So, I go back, I talk to my boss. My boss says, get an anti-harassment order because we don't want to deal with this problem. I did. I went before a judge.
All you had to do was stop taking your grandson off the road that you were supposed to be traveling with other children and not drop him off at the daycare.
Well, I hadn't had an opportunity not do that.
But Miss Neville.
I did what the officer told me.
No. That's, first of all, that's hearsay.
Excuse me.
Listen to me.
Explain this. You're twisting this.
I'm not twisting anything.
You are.
Now listen to me.
She's saying there was a DV assault, but they had got reconciled. They got together. They moved out. They left. She got caught cheating, having an affair with a high school kid.
Listen to me carefully. All you had to do.
Well, she doesn't mention that to you.
Just a second. I'm talking about you and your lawsuit, which I'm going to lose my temper over in a couple of seconds.
Well, I've had to deal with it for 5 years. How do you?
You don't get 5 years worth, madam. What you're going to tell me is about lost wages.
Correct.
And punitive damages for defamation of character and slander. Get there.
What it had to do with is the whole school year of 2000 and 2004, she continued to make attacks on my person by making claims that my grandson's scared of me. She wrote the school this. She tried to get me removed from my school route by writing the school district.
Show me.
This is the statement, one letter that she wrote.
Okay, so after you stopped bringing him to the daycare, and there was no problem with that, she wrote this to the school.
Correct.
And you claim that this is harassment. I want to know this is a legal claim.
Yeah, she claimed she didn't want Jeffrey to speak to me or be near me, that he was scared of me.
Okay. She contacted the school, to whom it may concern. You sent this to the elementary school? And it merely says that she does not want, for whatever reason, which she outlines here, she doesn't want Debbie Neville to contact him while he's at school.
Your Honor, the reason why is because there was an incident with Debbie and my son Jeffrey at the school. I have a letter from his principal in regards to that, as well as a letter from my son's therapist that he's been seeing since kindergarten regarding the incident.
The therapist in September of 2003, and I don't want to go back there, says it's best for him not to have contact with you. Okay. Get to 2005.
Okay.
I want to hear how you have a lawsuit against Miss Hubel for lost wages and defamation of character.
Okay.
This is not a therapy session,
I know.
Miss Neville.
I know.
This is a lawsuit. So get there.
So several times I had that anti-harassment order. I had to call the police and report incidences with her, and I have copies of a few of those.
Not interested.
And so the following...
I'm not interested. I'm interested in defamation and lost wages. And if you can't get there, I'm going to dismiss your case.
I had to select a different route the following year to prevent her from further tormenting me.
Okay, good. That's not a lawsuit. What else?
I lost wages because of that, because I didn't take that route because she kept calling the school district.
That's the way things go.
Here's a letter from his bus driver.
I'm not interested in a letter from his bus driver. I don't see a lawsuit, Ms.
If you don't
Neville.
let me enter my evidence, how am I supposed to prevent a case?
I want you to tell me. I want you to tell me.
You just read documents that were not notarized, that I don't...
They're from school officials and a therapist.
The school official got fired because of what she did. Wrote that letter. She was not allowed to write that letter.
Listen to me. I'm not interested in anything that happened in 2003. This is not a therapy session. It's a court.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You're going to have to move. Otherwise, there's going to be constant.
It's not all that easy just to pick up and move.
It's not all that easy. Have the last 4 years been easy?
No.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Debbie Neville claims ex-daughter-in-law Sarah Hubel has slandered her at her job. Sarah is countersuing for harassment.
I'm going to hear your counterclaim. 30 seconds. Get there.
Yes, ma'am. Well, as of this year, a couple weeks ago, she just had taken me to court again, trying to get an anti-harassment order for me. It was denied. This was the second order that she had tried to get against me that was denied. I'm continually having to go into court because of her allegations.
Where do you live?
I live in Seattle.
Which she moved right next door to me. Why she had the restraining order, she moved right up the street from me, right on top of my bus route, just so she could watch me come and go.
Where does your former husband live?
He also lives in Seattle.
How far away from you?
Well, actually, they just moved. Maybe about a mile from where I live.
Seattle's a big place. Why don't you move farther away from them?
I don't move farther away from them because my son goes to school there. He has gone to school there since kindergarten. I work right across the street from my son's school. I live right down the road.
Who else lives with you now, Ms. Hubel?
Christopher Crippen.
Who is he?
My boyfriend.
Does he work?
Yes.
How long was the custody battle that you had with your former husband?
2.5 years.
Did he want custody?
No.
So he wanted visitation?
Just visitation.
Does he have visitation now?
Not any longer.
When was that terminated?
In March of 2003, right after the assault. I went to the court to get a protection order for my son to ask for supervised visitation. And Josh denied in open court that he wanted to have any visitation with Jeffrey if it had to be
supervised.
Supervised.
So are you telling me that he hasn't seen his son since March of 2003?
Correct.
Is he living with you?
He is.
Very sad family case.
Yes, it is.
Well, one thing you seem to be both accomplishing is you're both accomplishing making this little boy crazy.
Excuse me?
You got to get over it, both of you.
I've never
You don't have a lawsuit. This is not a lawsuit. This is aggravation.
It is aggravation.
It is aggravation.
It is.
You're causing each other aggravation. You have to stop.
Correct. But she won't stop.
I have the feeling, Miss Neville, and I could be wrong, but I have a feeling that if you had nothing to do with her, nothing to do with her, your problems would be over. I can understand why you're angry. I can understand why you're angry. You have a son who's ill, who according to you has cancer, takes medication.
No, it's not according
who's
to me.
been in jail.
Doctor's reports.
I'm speaking.
Right here.
You're not
But
following.
You're making statements.
You are over here. You're not getting it.
It's not according to me. Here's some documents.
I agree with you. I accept the fact that he's ill.
And I don't call her job. I don't follow her around. I don't do that.
I have a feeling, Miss Neville, that Miss
from-
Hubel would like...
My witness can testify to her following me into the store, staying outside, waiting for me to come out of the store, and chasing me out of the parking lot. I've had her push a grocery cart into my leg.
You shouldn't have anything to do with each other. You shouldn't be near each other.
Honor, I thought it was supposed to be my turn to be giving my statements.
What I'm trying to do is to tell you, neither one of you has a lawsuit. You have created aggravation for each other.
What have I done to her? Excuse me, tell me. Do you have documentations of what have I called your job? Have I gone to your place of work? I avoid your place of work. My friends avoid you. The whole community avoids you because they're scared of you. They're scared if you get done tired being mad at me that they're going to stalk them. I have witnesses would not come because they're scared of her.
Well,
I lost business in my art because of her.
One way or another, if you want to live in peace, you're going to have to relocate.
Yes.
That's what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to move out of Seattle. And if you don't do it, then you're just prolonging this bad feeling because she has a grown son who has an illness. That makes her feel bad as a mother. She has a grown son who probably says to her that he's sad because he can't see his son. That makes her feel protective. Do you understand? There's a story which is the underpinning of this lawsuit. You're going to have to move. And the faster you do it, the faster you're going to be able to enjoy your life. Do you get it?
Yes.
Otherwise, there's going to be constant
It's not all
aggravation.
that easy just to pick up and move.
It's not all that easy. Have the last 4 years been easy?
No.
Your son's 9 years old. It's not as if he's a junior in high school that he has to reacquaint with friends when he's a junior and he's going to graduate. He's 9 years old. He'll adjust to a new school. You want peace? Move. Lawsuit's dismissed. Thank you. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out, ma'am. Wait here.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Richter versus Falk. Step forward, please.
20-year-old physical therapy technician Levita Richter is suing her former friend, 21-year-old caregiver Adriana Falk, for bail money, a loan to get her car fixed, and the cost of a bridesmaid's dress.
Miss Richter, you and the defendant had been friends, according to the complaint that I read.
Yes, Your Honor.
And there was a point when she was in some difficulty. Did she come to live with you at that point?
Yes, she did, Your Honor.
When was that?
About October.
October of 2004?
Yes.
Who were you living with?
My fiance.
Who's now your husband?
Yes.
Is that him?
No.
Who was this?
This is my witness.
According to you, there are 2 loans outstanding. And in addition to the 2 loans, you claim that Miss Falk owes you for this bridesmaid's dress. I assume that this is the bridesmaid's dress. She was an attendant at your wedding. They were supposed to pay for their own dresses. You claim she did not pay for hers.
Yes, Your Honor.
Miss Falk says that both of those times when you gave her the money, it was a gift. And the bridesmaid's dress, she says she paid for even though you still have it.
Yes, ma'am.
Why did you go to live with Miss Richter and her fiancé, Miss Falk?
I was having some problems with my mother and needed to get out of the situation that I was in.
Now, when was the first time that she gave you money?
When this guy right over here got me into trouble at my employment, I was taken to jail because of him and his roommates and what they had asked me to do for them. And
well, why don't you explain that to me further?
Okay, I was working at Colusa Casino in Colusa County. And
where is that?
Part of Northern California.
Go ahead.
Me and Mr. Weiser had started dating, and him and his roommates knew obviously that I worked at a casino and asked me if I could possibly give them players cards with instant rewards on them, which is like a credit, and they can go in the casino and play. Well, I told them a number of times I didn't want to do it. I didn't feel comfortable doing it. Now I'm being charged for all 4 of those gentlemen and what they asked me to do.
Just a second. So they asked you to get them these cards, and you said no. So how could you be charged with anything?
Because I did it anyways.
Oh, so you did it. You did something illegal.
Yes, ma'am.
Levita Richter says former friend Adriana Falk owes for bail money, a loan to have her car fixed, and the cost of a bridesmaid's dress.
Explain to me how you did something illegal.
I would go in and add the instant rewards to their cards. That gentleman right there would come in and play his, not only, and all 4 of his
I don't
roommates'
understand the
cards.
instant rewards. What does that mean?
It's just like a credit you can go in and play on slot machines. You can't cash it out. The only thing you cash out is what you win, but you cannot cash out anything on that card.
But you can play with it.
Yeah.
And you knew you were doing, in effect, you were stealing from the casino.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Nobody forces you to steal, madam. That's
well,
not
this
anybody.
gentleman here did.
No, he didn't. No, Miss Falk. That's not true. If I asked Bird to falsify a document for me, and I've known him for a very long time, 25 years?
At least.
At least. I guarantee you, he would not do it for me. And he likes me. And if I asked somebody that I cared about to do something illegal, I would not be angry if they said, no, that's illegal.
Well, they were when I said no.
So then what you say to somebody who's asking you to do something wrong is, I'm sorry. You can be angry, and if you want to not see me anymore, you don't see me anymore. If you want to not be my friend, you don't want to be my boyfriend, whatever it is. But you don't blame somebody else for you're doing something criminal.
There are charges pending on them, but I don't know what they are yet.
Are there charges pending against you?
Yes, there is.
For what?
For second-degree burglary, and it's burglary in the second degree, and then the grand theft as well.
Oh, well, I'm not going to ask you any questions about that because those matters are pending. I'm sorry. You represented by an attorney with regard to that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Stupid. Anyway, you got into trouble and she bailed you out?
Yeah. He was on his way home and he called her and asked her to bail me out of jail.
Who asked her?
I had called Mr. Weiser and told him that I was in jail because he knew that I was going to meet with the security officers at the casino that morning. Then I ended up being arrested after about an hour or two of questioning. I was taken into custody and arrested, and I called him. He was the first person that I was able to call, and he called her and asked her to bail me out.
That's not true, Your Honor.
Who called?
The bail bond gentleman called me at work.
Oh, but she didn't call you.
I spoke to her, and she asked me to come bail her out.
When? You said the bail bondsman called.
I talked to her after the bail bonds gentleman called, and I was allowed to talk to her. And she was crying. She said, please come get me out of this place.
You went there and you bailed her out?
Yes.
What arrangements did you make for her to pay you back?
She was to pay me back. She had promised me that she would pay me back because that's just, I wasn't just going to give it to her. I was getting married in a few months and I didn't have that money to spare.
Well, I want to know what conversation did you have with her with regard to paying you back?
She just
don't tell me what she understood.
She
Ms.
just
Richter.
said, I promise that I'll pay you back. I thank you for bailing me out.
When did she say that to you?
In front of the bail bond gentleman, when we were signing these papers.
Let me see the papers. Okay, what was the next amount of money?
It was the $500 that I loaned her to have her car fixed.
Okay, let me hear.
She was driving a Geo Metro. It needed some repairs. It was $1,000 to have it fixed. Matt was my witness. He was going to pay half, and I was going to pay the other half. I wrote him a check. He deposited it into his bank account, and he
well,
used
just
his
a second.
credit card.
Why were you going to pay half? I don't hear what.
She didn't have the money to pay, and it needed to be fixed, or else she wouldn't be able to drive back and forth to work.
Well, when did you have that discussion with her, Miss Richter?
It was
on the phone while I was at Winco.
It was not on the phone. She was in my...
Just a minute. Where was it?
I was at Winco with Mr. Weiser at the time, and she called me and told me that her and her husband now were going to loan me the $500.
No, just a second. She said she and her husband were going to loan you the $500. Perfect. And she did. So why don't you have to pay her back?
She had me arrested.
What did she have you arrested for?
Charges on credit card fraud.
And that's another thing that's pending against you? I don't want to hear about it. So she's alleging that you took money from her credit cards. And she called and had you arrested. Sounds right to me. $815 so far. Now let's hear about the bridesmaid's dress.
Bridesmaid's dress, I was getting married March. She was my maid of honor. I have a list of the other two ladies that were my bridesmaids. They knew they were all to pay for the dress. If they did not pay for the dress, they were to not be in the wedding. Being she was my supposed best friend living with me, I assumed that she would pay me back for it.
Don't assume anything.
That's my fault.
That's your fault is right. It's a very nice dress. I hope you can wear it. You don't assume anything. After she didn't have $315, which she didn't give you back for the bail bondsman, and $500 she didn't have for her car, really $1,000 she didn't have for her car, how you could legitimately expect her to pay for a dress? Expect her to pay for a dress is something I quite frankly don't understand. So it looks like a very nice dress. It's yours. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $815. Thanks. That's all.
You may step out. This is case number 17 on the calendar in the matter of Ewing versus West.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Ms. Ewing, it is your claim that the defendant owes you for an accident that he had with your car while he was driving your car with your permission, and some small utility bill from when he left the house and you were living together. Let's deal with the accident, please, and not this utility bill. All right?
Okay.
Good. How long were you living together?
In December, it was probably about 9 months.
Okay. Sir, let's start with you. When was the accident?
Approximately December, I believe.
You want to tell me what happened?
Basically, she asked me if I could drive her to work because she was running late. Dropped her off at work, was driving to a friend of mine's house, and was...
Well, why were you dropping her off at work, sir? You were borrowing her car?
She was late, and...
So she doesn't drive?
Yes, she does, but she was late. She had asked me if I could drop her off.
Mr. West, if she's going to work and if she's late, why isn't she driving her own car?
She could put her makeup on the car on the way to work. More time to get ready.
Does that sound right to you?
No. He wanted to borrow my car. His truck wasn't legal to drive, so it wasn't registered.
Is that right?
Yes, that's right.
Well, why didn't you say that?
That wasn't the reason I was driving her car.
Well, sir, let me tell you what you just said to me a moment ago. You said you dropped her off at work and you were going over to see a friend of yours.
Yes.
Which means you had someplace to go. And if you couldn't get there driving your truck, which you clearly wouldn't use because it wasn't legal, you needed a car that day.
I wasn't legal either, so me driving anything was not legal.
You mean you had no license?
Suspended license.
Why is that?
I was supposed to make my court hearing within 10 days. I thought it was 30.
Make what court hearing?
Court hearing I had for a ticket.
What kind of ticket?
Speeding.
Oh. See how complicated things get? Why were you letting him drive your car if he had no license?
I was under the impression that all of that was being taken care of.
What do you mean all of it was being taken care of? What does that mean?
He had more than one ticket, and I assumed
he did.
I was under the impression that it was taken care of, and he had asked me not to keep bothering him about it. I didn't realize he was going to be driving my car all over town like that.
I don't care if he drives your car from here to the end of this room. Driving all over town isn't the issue. Right. Driving at all, getting behind the wheel of a car and turning on the ignition is the problem. So, Miss Ewing, you knew that he had no license.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let's get to it. So you let him take you to work, go visit his friends, come back to pick you up, and you knew he had no license. I just want to get things straight. It would be so easy if I could get this without, like, pulling teeth. All right, Mr. West, so you dropped her off at work and then you went to your friend's house. I'm waiting for the accident.
On the way to my friend's house, I was rear-ended.
Did you get out of your car?
No.
Why not?
Because I had no license.
Didn't you get out to see if maybe somebody was injured?
I was the one rear-ended.
So what? I mean, common sense would say, listen, if you were rear-ended and caused almost $3,000 worth of damage, according to her, somebody might have been hurt in the other car, even if it was their fault. Keep going. I'm getting more fascinated with this story of yours.
The damage didn't look near as bad. It looked like it just needed a new bumper, and we had agreed. He had said that he would pay for a new bumper. A month or two later, he still had put it off. And
you're driving the car?
Yes, ma'am.
And he's driving the car?
No, that was the last time.
Never drove the car after that?
No.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
The next month is when he moved out. We were bickering back and forth, I guess, but he was obviously not going to pay for the bumper. So I took it in to get an estimate for the bumper. The damage to the car apparently isn't something that you can see. It's damage more to the frame and underneath the car. The trunk pan is rippled. There's dents, or not dents, but dimples next to the sunroof from the impact of the accident. And
what? Dimples to the sunroof?
Well, during the collision, it'll send a shockwave through the body of the car. And
what do you do for a living?
I'm a waitress.
Waitresses can't give expert testimony on what happens during the course of a collision. Your statement, Mr. West, is that Miss Ewing was in 2 accidents since. How do you know she was in another accident with the car?
All I know is that she obtained new rims because she had damaged one, and the other was pretty much just hearsay.
Were you in subsequent accidents after this incident with Mr. West in December?
I was not in an accident. I ran over a curb, if that's considered an accident.
Well, it's not an on purpose. You didn't run over the curb on purpose?
No, no.
And you damaged the car?
Well, the tires needed to be replaced, yes, ma'am.
How many tires?
2.
That's a lot of damage. You damaged the rims as well? Is not an answer.
Yes.
Get a life, Miss Ewing.
Okay.
Let me see the estimate that you have. Replace bumper cover, $284. The rest is for roof panels with sunroof, add for clear clove glass sunroof, possible rear suspension damage, clean and delivery, $20. You needed a bumper. What kind of car do you have?
2002 Honda Accord. And if you the gentleman explained to me why...
Listen to me, my dear. You're lucky, quite frankly, that I would award you a penny based upon the fact that you permitted an unlicensed driver to drive your car. That's your responsibility. You're the owner of the car, yes, and you can say, no, you can't drive your car because you're irresponsible. The government says that you're not responsible enough to drive any car, and I'm not giving you my car to drive. Then you wouldn't have been in this problem with him. Second thing is, I'm not prepared to say what damage was caused by somebody rear-ending him, or whether the underneath part of the car was damaged as a result of you going over a curb that required you replacing 2 tires and 2 rims. But mostly, you had no right to let an unlicensed driver drive your car. Period. End of discussion. Okay. This court is going to award you $200. You want to have the bumper fixed? Terrific. You don't? Terrific. Are you together anymore?
Questionable.
Questionable? When you say questionable, what does that mean?
That means no.
No. Listen to me very carefully, sir. You moved out in what month?
January.
Since January, have you and Miss Ewing had dinner together?
Yes.
Since January, have you and Miss Ewing gone shopping together?
Yes.
Since January, have you and Miss Ewing slept together?
Yes.
Miss Ewing, you get 0. Nothing. Nothing. You picked them, you deal with them. That's all. Goodbye.
Parties are excused and we'll step out.
We don't see eye to eye when it comes to our future and where we want to go.
Conflict of interest, I guess you could say.
Apparently, if he doesn't want to get a job to pay for the damages or his bills, then therefore, we apparently don't see eye to eye.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Zai versus Hagedorn, step forward.
Real estate investor Kumar Zai is suing former friend, 25-year-old bartender Morgan Hagedorn for a loan for bail. Morgan claims Kumar's pawned her laptop and digital camera behind her back.
Mr. Zai, it is your claim that the defendant owes you some money for bail and for collect calls that she made to your home from jail. She is, according to what I've read in your complaint, the ex-roommate of your ex-girlfriend.
Correct, Your Honor.
Is that right?
Yes.
Ms. Hagedorn?
Yes.
When were you arrested and for what?
It was early March of last year, and I was arrested for driving on a suspended license.
Why didn't you have a license?
Prior court tie-ups.
What does that mean, prior court tie-ups?
What had happened is I had received a notice in the mail, and I did not fill it out in time or get it back, and therefore my license was suspended.
How many times was your license suspended?
Just the once, but due to missing court dates and whatnot, I got it revoked as well as a bench warrant for my arrest, and that's when I was arrested.
You have a very busy corporate schedule, Ms. Hagedorn?
Yes, I do.
You do? Like what?
I do bartend full-time as well as model, and I'm pursuing other social non-for-profit organizations here in, well, my hometown, St. Louis.
Is she for real or what?
It takes up a lot of my time.
You get a copy of my old book, will you please?
Put that on your schedule.
Why did you call Mr. Zai when you got busted?
I called my roommate, and she was at his apartment, and I didn't know what to do.
Called your roommate on her cell phone?
That is correct.
And you found her at Mr. Zai's apartment?
They witnessed the arrest, and they were aware of what had happened.
Just listen to me very carefully. You called her on her cell phone?
I do believe.
What does that mean, you do believe?
It's been a long time, and it was a very traumatic night.
What do you do for a living, Mr. Zaid?
I'm a real estate investor.
Did she call you in your house?
Yes, Your Honor.
You have the phone bill?
Unfortunately, I couldn't obtain the phone bill. No, I don't have the phone record.
Well, what evidence do you have of this whole thing, sir?
Well, I do have a paper from the court from the day that I actually went and bailed her out of jail. I had to charge it on my credit card. There was a record of that, and which was actually the bond money. And I also have a court paper that shows that they refunded the bond money to her and her attorney instead of coming back to me.
Why is that? Ms. Hagedorn, why did you take the bond money?
I did not receive any bond money. I was told that I was not to receive it, and it was to be paid to my attorney for services rendered.
Who's your attorney?
Leland.
Phone number?
I do not have that information on
Go get it! Go get it!
Okay.
Ready?
Area code 947.
Okay, and it is your testimony that you never saw any of this money and it went to your attorney for counsel fees that were your responsibility?
Yes.
They were Mr. Zaid's responsibility?
That is correct.
Good. So why don't you owe him this money, $1,095?
Well, what happened, Your Honor? Kumars told me that he had taken my laptop as well as my digital camera that was at his girlfriend's grandmother's house, and he pawned it off. This was a brand new laptop.
Go ahead.
Your Honor. What had happened was she pawned her computer approximately 2 months prior to this incident, along with her digital camera. And my ex-girlfriend's grandmother felt sorry for her, went to the pawn shop, got it out of there, and held on to it till she gives her the money to, basically get it back.
So she pawned it?
She pawned it originally, and after repeated phone calls, I've called her at least 20, 30 times, left messages for her, to give me a call back, let's make an arrangement, to pay this money back to me. Never heard back from her. So I contacted my ex-girlfriend's grandmother. I said, is there a way I can get the computer from you to maybe sell it, to maybe recover some of my money? And she says, well, let me call her and tell her that this is what I'm doing. I said, that's fine. And I paid $300 to her, my ex-girlfriend's grandmother, to get her computer and her digital camera. I called her. I said, I have your computer, I have your digital camera. If you want to come and pay me the money that you owe me, it's sitting right here. Otherwise, I'm going to try to sell it to recover some of my money. Never heard back from her again. So,
did you sell it?
I sold the computer for $325. I still have the digital camera. I brought it with me to give it back to her.
Well, so you sort of resorted to self-help, sir. You've made this case, which was a relatively simple case, very, very complex.
Yes, sir.
Do you understand, Mr. Zaid?
Yes, I understand.
You should have come to me before you resorted to self-help, sir, because this convoluted story that you tell me doesn't make sense to me, Mr. Zaid. It's a very dumb thing to do. And since you've complicated the situation, there's very little I can do to help you. I mean, this lady, I know, has a very busy corporate schedule, but she doesn't know whether she's a foot or horseback. I don't know whether you got full value for the computer when you sold it for $300. You can't do what you did. You created a problem by complicating the situation by resorting to your own form of self-help. Do you understand?
Yes, I understand.
I can't help you. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Now, this is case number 40 on the calendar in the matter of Dickinson versus Irwin. Parties have been, you're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Miss Dickinson, Miss Irwin is your boyfriend's mother.
Yes.
I assume this is the boyfriend.
Yes, he is.
How long have you been his girlfriend?
We're actually broken up right now. We were dating for about a month.
Not dating anymore?
No.
Any particular reason?
We were good friends, and I didn't want to ruin our friendship.
Okay. It is your complaint that Mrs. Irwin, for no good reason, broke your cell phone.
Yes, she did.
And you want her to pay for it.
Yes.
And Miss Irwin says you were an uninvited guest in her home, and that precipitated this incident with the cell phone. So why don't you tell me when this happened?
This happened in February, the 21st. Ryan and I were dating at the time. We had gotten back to his house and we were watching TV, relaxing.
Where were you watching TV?
Up in his living room. And Bernice came home.
Bernice, that's you?
Yes. And she came home yelling and freaking out on Ryan. She began to yell at him even more and put him down.
What was she saying?
You're a loser, you're good for nothing. And then she began to hit him, smack him in the face.
What did he say to her?
Nothing. Nothing was really said. She was just like, you're a loser. And Ryan was just simply not saying anything because I was present. And when she came into the living room, she was yelling at me, and then she had hit Ryan across the face, and then she did it a few more times, and I told her that if she had kept hitting him, that I was going to call the cops, because I did not feel comfortable whatsoever. She looked at me and said, I'll do whatever I want. This is my house. Hit him again, and that's when I had called for police assistance.
Okay, so you used your cell phone to call the police?
Yes, I did.
Okay, what happened next?
When I was on the phone with the police, she was still yelling at Ryan, and they got it on tape and everything like that. And I had said I need police assistance to this address. And then she had noticed I was on the phone with the cops, and then she had attacked me. And I have pictures here of the bruises from when she grabbed my arm and my wrist.
Is that when your phone was broken?
Yes.
Well, tell me how it got broken, Miss Dickinson.
I was on the phone, and she had grabbed my arm, and then she was fighting with me. I was telling her to let go of me, not to touch me. And then she grabbed the top half of my cell phone and snapped it off, and opened her front door and threw it outside in the snow.
Okay. Now I'll see the police report, please.
Okay. I also have pictures of the bruises. Would you like to see them?
Yes.
And there's also pictures of my cell phone in there.
Is this the only police report that you have?
Yes, there was no police report written. It was just a log entry.
Okay. Step up, please. Your first name is Ryan?
Mm-hmm.
How old are you, Ryan?
18.
You're not living in your mother's home anymore, is that right?
Yes.
Who are you living with now?
I'm staying with friends now.
How long has it been since you haven't been getting along with your mother?
As long as I can remember.
When did you ultimately move out of the house?
She kicked me out a couple weeks ago after she got arrested for domestic assault on me.
Why don't you get along with your mother?
Because she's crazy.
I also have the police log from her arrest, if you'd like to see that.
I would. Are you going to school, Ryan?
No, not right now.
You working?
No, not currently.
How are you supporting yourself?
I really haven't been.
Okay. All right, Miss Irwin, what kind of work do you do?
I'm a store manager.
Were you working on the 21st of February?
I was.
What were your hours of employment?
On that particular day, I worked till about 6 p.m.
Did you go directly from the store home?
I did not.
Where did you go?
I went to a friend's house, and then I came home.
What time did you get home?
Approximately 7 to 7:30 p.m.
And you came home and you found your son and his girlfriend watching television?
They were in my living room. My house was a total disaster. Ryan was not allowed to have any guests at my home without my permission, which he continued to do so, and I was quite angry.
Had you ever met this young lady before?
Once or twice, yes.
Where?
One time at my house, and another time she was leaving my house for a few minutes. That was it.
You never had any problem with her?
No, I didn't.
So what happened when you came home on the 21st?
I'd asked Ryan why he had a guest in my home. We'd had many problems in the past with him having company, and I told him he was not allowed to have anybody in my home without my permission. Ryan got very angry at me and started swearing, cursing, calling me several names. He then spit in my face, literally, and I slapped him across the face once. At that point, Jamie had gotten off my sofa and started calling me names that I will not even repeat, and I asked them to leave my house. They refused.
Shh. Yes?
She did say, threatened she was going to call the police. I at that time told her if indeed she called the police, my son probably would have been arrested because he was on probation.
For what?
Numerous things, assault and battery, disturbing the peace. He was on probation for assault and battery on a police officer.
That's serious stuff.
It had
Ryan?
been serious stuff.
That's serious stuff?
Yes.
Okay, so she called the police.
Yeah, I didn't know she was on the phone. I had just got done telling her if indeed she called the police.
There was a lot of screaming going around, so
Yes, there was.
Everybody was screaming. I want to know how her phone got broken.
She got on the phone with somebody, I'm not sure who, saying that I was abusing my son, which was not true.
That was with the police.
My son had just spit in my face, and I did slap him across the face after he had called me several vulgar names. One time I did slap him across the face. Yes, I did. He
I want to
deserved
know
it.
how her phone got broken.
Well, she was on the phone, and I, at that point, once again told her, if you want to make the phone call, go outside. I need you to get out of my house. And she refused to leave, so I took the phone out of her hand. And as far as I know, it was the top part of her cell phone that did snap off. And at that point, I threw it outside to make them leave my house. I'd asked them several times to leave.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Have you ever been in trouble with the law?
Nope, never.
He has been.
I understand that.
Set your sights a little higher. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I have a
Don't
new
say
boyfriend.
anything, Ryan.
And later today,
Lester's a stubborn dog, there's no doubt about it.
I have a very stubborn dog, but she has to be very, very well trained.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jamie Dickinson says her ex-boyfriend's mother owes for breaking her cell phone. Bernice Irwin claims Jamie was trespassing on her property.
Okay. There are a couple of things that I don't quite understand, Miss Irwin, and I think that probably you would have been more prudent if when you came home and found Ryan there watching television with his girlfriend, you waited until she left and then confronted him. As far as I've heard, they weren't doing anything untoward. They were sitting and watching television in your living room. So when you came home and started to go off on him in front of his girlfriend, especially a kid that you'd had trouble with and that clearly has a temper, that probably wasn't the most prudent thing to do. And then there was a lot of yelling and screaming. However, Miss Dickinson was an invited guest to your home. She was invited by your son, who lives there, or did then. And whatever argument you were having with your son, and I'm not going to get into slapping him in the face or screaming or yelling or bad names, I'm not getting into that. The only thing that's before me is whether you're responsible to buy her a new cell phone. I believe her when she says that she told you she was going to call the police, and I believe you knew she was calling the police because that's what she said she was going to do. And at that time, if you grabbed her by the arm and grabbed her cell phone and snapped it off and then threw it outside, you're responsible to buy her a new cell phone. It seems to me that there was an altercation in your home and it was getting out of hand. It was a good thing that she was calling the police. So why would you be angry? So, how much was the cell phone?
It is $199.99. I have the paper from the website singular.com.
Okay, can I see it, please? And the cell phone. Who is this person?
Carol, a friend of mine.
Was she there that evening?
She wasn't there that evening.
Okay. This is one of these cute little phones that takes pictures?
No, it doesn't.
Oh, it doesn't take pictures. Okay, that's all you're suing for, the cost of the cell phone. Anything else you want to tell me?
No, that about covers everything.
What do you do for a living, Miss Dickinson?
I babysit, and I used to work at CVS. I had just quit my job, though, because I'm still in high school, and I'm graduating this year, so it was kind of hard doing both.
Have you ever been in trouble with the law?
Nope, never.
He has been.
I understand that.
Lots of times. Set your sights a little higher. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I have a new
Don't say
boyfriend.
anything, Ryan. You've got a little ways to go to get your act together, young man. Somebody who's 18 years old, who's not going to school, who's not working, who's not supporting themselves, who's got an arrest history, according to your mother, that's lengthy, is not going down the right path. The yellow brick road is eluding you, Ryan. You're going to have to find it. Otherwise, you're going to be dead by the time you're 30. That would be a shame, right? Be smart. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $199. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'm a little confused about the whole thing, actually. I don't really believe that I broke Jamie's cell phone.
I was not brought up that way. I was brought in a very well-nurtured home where no violence is present.
I did ask her to leave my home along with my son.
Mom overreacts a whole lot.
I'm really hoping that we can be friends yet again, mother and daughter. Mother and son, I'm sorry.
That'd be wonderful if it could, but I don't know if that could ever happen.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Brown versus Valero. Step forward, please.
Home health care provider Greg Brown is suing his ex-fiancée, insurance claims assistant Christina Valero, for an unpaid loan. Christina says Greg forgave the loan when they began dating.
Mr. Brown, you claim a loan to the defendant.
Yes, ma'am.
When she was in some financial difficulty.
Yes, ma'am.
The loan was for rent. The loan was for, I think, $2,300.
Yes, ma'am.
You were paid back $200 from a relative of hers.
Yes, ma'am.
With an outstanding balance of $2,100.
Yes, ma'am.
However, she says that you forgave that loan after you started dating. Is that what your defense is?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. When did you meet her, Mr. Brown?
Early September.
Of what year?
2001, ma'am.
And when did you make this loan for the rent, and under what circumstances?
She came to me, she gave me a phone call and said that she was going to be thrown out of her apartment. I gave her the loan under the conditions that she would sign an IOU and pay me back.
Can I see it, please? I assume that's the piece of paper you have.
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, I typed that letter, and
I wasn't speaking to you.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Well, as we persisted on our friendship, grew into a relationship. The relationship was quite expensive. She was constantly asking for money. $100 here, $100 there. I felt that I was being taken advantage of, literally. So she had told me that she was going to a dinner party with her company in Santa Rosa, and she was supposed to come back that night.
When was that, sir?
That was September 28th, I believe.
Still during the month of September?
Yes. She refused to come back because she said she fell asleep in her car and was there all night. Well, I'm not exactly a fool, so I figured that she was doing something she wasn't supposed to do. At that time, I figured her irresponsibility to the relationship was not what I was looking for, so I dismissed it.
So you terminated the relationship?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and you asked her back for the money?
Yes, I did.
Okay. I'll hear from you, Miss Valero.
we started as friends, and I was in a financial difficulty at that time, and he offered that he would help us.
Who's us?
My daughter, my sister-in-law here, my son.
Go ahead.
I even typed a promissory note thinking that I would, I would really pay him. And then he said, we went out to dinner, and he said he's interested in me. And we started dating, and then he gave me a promise ring, which is this.
All in the month of September?
Yes.
Go ahead, keep going.
And then on my birthday, he gave me this.
When's your birthday?
December.
Now we're jumping to December.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, the whole month of November, we were fine. Then we broke up for maybe 2-3 weeks because of that incident that I went out with my friends.
Could you get to your defense, please? I'm really anxious.
He promised to marry me. He asked me to marry him.
Yes. When did he ask you to marry him?
Like November.
And what did you say?
And I said, okay, we'll if our relationship is going good,
I'm waiting
finally,
for the defense.
Please. Finally, shh. Finally, all of a sudden, he told me that his mother died. I tried calling him and calling him.
I'm getting weak. Would you tell me what your defense is, madam?
There is no.
He disappeared on me.
Yes.
And he told me that when we're together, the loan is gone.
He said if the relationship gets that deeper, you don't have to pay me back the money.
Yes.
So it didn't get that deep. So you have to pay him back the money. What is so hard to understand?
Yes, Your Honor, it got deeper because we tried looking for a house, and we were talking about marriage.
So?
He even put away an engagement ring for me.
It sounds like he was a very nice man. He's not asking you for the jewelry back.
He is.
No, he isn't. Not in this lawsuit.
Yes, he told my sister-in-law here.
He's not asking for it. Listen, this is his one shot at a lawsuit. He's not asking for the jewelry back. He knows that was a gift.
That's right.
He knows he can't get the jewelry back. Jewelry that looks very nice on you, and I'm sure you enjoy wearing. This was a loan. And if he forgave the loan, what you do is you say, if you forgive the loan, Greg, if you forgive the loan, could I have the IOU back that I signed and I typed, and I'd like to rip it up. We'll have a ripping up IOU party. That's what you do when he forgives the loan. Meanwhile, you have to pay him back his money. Stop being a gold digger and a taker. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,100. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Even after the loan, it's constantly at $100 here, $100 there. It's ridiculous.
He just disappeared on me. I don't think I owe him that money.
I was being taken advantage of, clearly.
Never took advantage of anybody.
She called me and said, I haven't seen you in a while, and how come you don't give me any more money? And that was the last straw.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Sarah Borden versus Taylor Marquez. Step forward, please.
19-year-old barista Devin Serra and her boyfriend Michael Borden are suing their former roommates, 20-year-old cashier Angela Marquez and her boyfriend Gary Taylor, for breaking a lease. Angela says she moved out because she was scared to live with Devin.
The two of you decided to lease an apartment with the two of you.
Yes, ma'am.
Leased the apartment when?
December 11th in 2004.
Moved in when?
That same day.
That was fast. How big an apartment?
It's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath.
You're not married?
No.
You're not married?
No,
You're going to have a baby?
Yes.
Well, wonderful. Everything's right. You're all friends, right? Yes. When did you move out?
January 28th, 2005.
Okay, and you want 3 months rent from them?
Yes.
Because you're stuck with the lease?
Yeah.
And you also say that when they moved out, they took some property that didn't belong to them.
Yes, they did.
You'll tell me about that in a minute. And you say you had to move out because she threatened you, and they both told you to go, and you just went. And you couldn't be stressed out because you're pregnant.
Yes, Your Honor.
How old are you?
20.
How old are you?
I'm 20, Your Honor.
Do you have a job?
Yes, ma'am.
What do you work at?
I'm a firefighter.
And you?
Cashier.
Two 20-year-olds having a baby? That would make me nervous.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She grabs the salt and the pepper, she throws it against the wall. She comes after me, in my face, picking up her hands like she was going to come after me and hit me.
Oy, 20 years old and you're having a child.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Devin Serra and her boyfriend Michael Borden claim former roommates Angela Marquez and her boyfriend Gary Taylor owe for breaking a lease.
Okay. Are you still living in the apartment?
Yes, we are.
Do you have new roommates?
Not yet.
How much is the rent?
$8.65 a month.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a barista.
A what?
A barista.
What's a barista?
I work at Starbucks. Cashier, make drinks.
Yeah, they make burritos with them.
No, barista. No, really, seriously.
A barista, yeah.
Is that what it's called, a barista?
Yes.
So you work at Starbucks full-time?
Part-time.
What else do you do?
I'm a student.
How much do you make from working as a barista?
I make $7.20 an hour.
How much do you take home every week?
Every 2 weeks, I make about $200.
And that's what you support yourself on?
Myself, yeah.
And what about you?
Seasonal firefighter.
Seasonal firefighter.
Firefighter.
What does that mean?
Work with the Forest Service, so wildland firefighting, just with the summer.
What do you do the rest of the time?
Right now, I'm working as an athletic trainer.
You train people individually or what?
It's with the high school.
How much do you make?
It's $12.66 an hour, and I bring home about $2,000, a little over $2,000 a month.
Okay, so you can afford the rent.
Yes.
Great. You're going to stay in this apartment?
Yes.
Why don't you sign off on the lease?
We did, Your Honor. We tried.
No, you either did or you tried.
We did.
You did sign off
yes.
on the lease.
My fiance has gone to the manager's office and asked for a release form. And we showed it to them, and they said they weren't going to sign us off if we didn't pay the February rent.
You left there because of your own safety, is that right?
Yes.
You had security deposit.
Yes, Your Honor.
How much security deposit did you put down?
$250.
That's for both of you, was the security deposit?
It was actually $450, but in half, it was about $225 each on deposit from each couple.
From each couple?
From each couple.
Okay. You moved out January 28th. Why shouldn't you be responsible for February's rent? They certainly couldn't find somebody else in 2 days to rent the apartment.
Because January, I would say the 21st, on January is a Sunday. I had like the last straw with them. I was like in a mood that I couldn't talk to them. I didn't want to just go out there and say stuff. And so finally I told Mike if we could talk. And he said, sure, meet us for dinner here at the house and we'll talk. So we talked about it. We sat there. I went first and I told her how I felt and everybody. Then she went and she said how she felt and whatnot. Well, all of a sudden, she went crazy. She went out of this world. She pulled out of her chair. She started screaming and saying, I'm not happy that you're pregnant. It's not fair that you're pregnant. I had an abortion. I did this and this and this and that. And she thought, it's my fault that I brought you together and you're pregnant. You're going to suffer and you're this and that. And then she just pulls out of her chair. She grabs the salt and the pepper. She throws it against the wall. She goes back to her room screaming and just going crazy. She comes back out of her room throwing stuff, just hitting walls and whatnot. She comes after me. Like she was this close from me, in my face, picking up her hands like she was going to come after me and hit me. Then
what was she saying to you?
Saying that she couldn't take it anymore. She didn't like living with me and Gary. That she hated the fact that I was pregnant. And she had to see me happy. She didn't want to see me happy. And I was like, okay, why don't you want to see me happy?
Oy, 20 years old and you're having a child.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Now, why were you upset?
We were all upset.
I assume you were all upset.
Yeah.
Good. I don't want to be upset.
Yeah.
I don't want you to be upset. Where are you living now?
We're living somewhere else now, in another apartment.
They signed off on the lease on January 25th.
That was the date I got the papers, and
Yeah.
that was the day I wanted all of us to get the signatures so we can get off the lease.
Did you or did you not sign off on the lease?
We
did.
signed it, and they had to sign it. The manager told us, we cannot get you off the lease unless they sign you off because they're still staying there.
Fine. Court will draft an order 5 days from today. Do you all live in the same town?
Yes.
You're all going to meet in the landlord's office, 9 a.m. Sign the release form. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
I am going to award you their share of February's rent because they had an obligation to pay at least 1 month's rent for you to spend that month looking for a new roommate if that's what you wanted to do. I think that that's fair, don't you?
Yes, Your Honor.
When you sign off on the lease, you will also get a check for $250 for your security deposit. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
If you don't go there 5 days from today, I'm giving the plaintiffs the right to come back and ask for a judgment for the remainder of the lease, and they will take it out of your pay. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand the order?
Yes.
Good. Now, let's get to what property you say they took when they moved out.
When they were moved out, they took a lot of belongings and stuff.
Oh,
when they moved
a
out.
lot of belongings doesn't help me, madam.
They took food, they took
I don't
cleaning
care.
supplies.
Are you kidding me or what? Other than food and cleaning supplies.
That's all they took.
I hope you've replaced them. You don't want the food back, do you?
No.
Good. Okay, you understand the order?
Yes, Your Honor.
That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Yeah, this is case number 78 on the calendar in the matter of Ellsworth versus Neri Sanchez. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Miss Ellsworth, this young man used to be your boyfriend, and you are Miss Neri, you are his mother.
Yes, ma'am.
According to your complaint, you lived for a period of time with your boyfriend and his mother, and you made each of them a series of loans. His mother at some point told you to leave the house. You left. You want your money. Each of the defendants say that they owe you nothing. Money that you gave Miss Neri was for expenses, your expenses while you lived in the house. And her son James says anything that you gave him were gifts because he took care of certain things for you. When did you move in with Miss Neri and her son?
In June of 2004.
And what were you doing at the time?
At the time, I was working for Forever 21.
Now tell me about the first loan you made to Mrs. Neri.
The loan I had made to Mrs. Neri was for $2,000. She said she had needed it for the down payment on the house that we were going to move into. She stated that she had asked her dad to borrow the money, and he had said no, and that I was the last resort, and if I couldn't loan her the money, we would have nowhere to live.
Where had you been living?
I had been living with them in an apartment.
So you all wanted to move someplace else together. Did you sign the lease?
Yes, I did.
On the new place?
On the new place, yes. I was told that I was not going to be a renter on the house, and that the only reason why I needed to sign the paperwork was because I was over 18.
You have a copy of the lease?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it, please. Well, the three of you were clearly on the lease, right?
Yeah.
So you know, I mean, you read this document, didn't you?
I didn't read the whole thing, no.
Why not?
Because she said she needed it signed, and so she stated that.
Miss Ellsworth, you go to school?
Yes.
What school do you go to?
Bakersfield College.
I assume that at least in your spare time when you were younger, you watched a little television?
Yes, I do.
You watched enough courtroom television to know that you're not supposed to sign something that you don't read?
Yes.
So let's not play with each other. So you signed it.
Yes.
And you should have read it. And if you didn't read it, that's not my problem.
Yeah. I did pay rent on the house.
Until you were evicted?
Yes, pretty much.
How much was security and the deposit on this apartment?
I think altogether was like $1,800. I'm not quite sure.
$1,850.
Yeah.
Where'd you get that money from?
from her because the reason why we had to move from the apartment is I was at the apartment for over a year already. I came home one day from work and she was living in my apartment. I told my son, look, this cannot work. You know, I don't want her living here. You know, she has a home. She told me she had nowhere to go because her mom was an abusive mother. So, you know, I kind of felt sorry for her. So the next thing I knew, her dog Louie, she has a little dog Louie, he was tearing up the curtains and everything. So I'm a single mommy. I couldn't just come up with that money just to move. So, you know, I had no choice. I asked my dad, and my dad goes, well, it's your fault. You should have never let her move in. You know, why you have to move? Because the reason why we had to move, because she wasn't on the lease. It was breach of contract, they said.
I can understand if you're moving in together, she's on the lease, she should pay a third of $1,850.
Okay, we moved in that home after we got kicked out of the apartment.
Listen to me. You don't have to get kicked out of the apartment. All you have to do is put the two of them out. And you can stay.
Right. Well,
he's not going anywhere without her. You could stay. Put them out.
No, she said we had to move.
Listen to me. $1,850. Only a third of that. She's on the lease. Only a third of that is hers.
Right.
Why did you throw her out?
I didn't throw her out. She was there. Her and my son were always arguing. It got to the point where I'd come out of work and I didn't want to go home anymore. She was possessive with my son, very possessive with my son.
Did you tell her to leave?
I did not tell her she had to leave. She got upset because I came home one day, the place was dirty. I figured if I'm working, in their home, they should at least have the place clean. We got in an argument. My son heard me say, me and my son were arguing. She got up and she left. I didn't verbally say, oh, Aubrey, you have to leave.
She had told me all the time that I had brought sin into her house and that I was bringing chaos and that she didn't want me living there. Her son told me numerous times, I don't have to leave, it's you that has to leave. My mom doesn't want you living here. She threatened to kick him out all the time. She threatened to kick me out all the time just to have, in my opinion, a control.
What?
First of all, my mom never kicked her out. Me and Aubrey used to argue a lot. Yeah, we did.
So it's a good thing she left, right?
No, I don't know if it's a good thing.
Listen to what I said. Stop thinking about what you're going to say next and start listening to my question. So it's a good thing that she left.
Yes.
For the sake of argument,
I'm speaking to you.
Hey.
Yeah, give him a good one.
Okay.
So it's a good thing that she left.
Yes, but she wasn't told to leave.
No, it came to her by mental telepathy, like Karnak, you know. You wanted her to leave, and your mother wanted her to leave.
Honestly, no, I didn't want her to leave. Honestly, no, I didn't.
He was upset and crying. I didn't ask her to leave because she was still on the lease. It was up to I think March. She left on her own. She came out storming, and she left on her own. That's the honest.
All right, you got $1,850. Miss Ellsworth, that she has to give you back. I don't believe. How old are you?
In my 30s, late 30s.
30, in my 30s, late 30s.
Yeah.
What kind of an answer is that? How old are you?
39.
She's 18. You're 21 years her senior. She doesn't support you. You take care of her. All right. Don't go into little things with me. I'm not interested in little things. What does he owe you for?
He owes me for his truck. I helped him fix his truck. I got him a new tire, which was $76. And then I had helped him fix his truck because he had gotten rear-ended February of 2004. He could not.
February of 2004?
Yes.
Where were you for the last year?
I've been trying to collect it. We didn't get the truck though, starting to fix until September.
Does that make sense to you?
She didn't give me all the money.
What did she give you?
I paid her half of the money back.
What did she give you is my question.
All she gave me was $150 because I paid $150 of it back to her, so it totaled out to $300, and with my $150 coming back to her, it canceled out. And then I went and paid a couple months of rent for her that she didn't pick up on. And this whole thing, we both assumed that we were just going to break it off even like that. Because, we were living together, and it's like, then when we break up, she goes, oh, well, now you owe me for this, and you owe me for that.
Do you want to know something, Mr. Sanchez?
Yeah.
I agree with you. How's that?
I mean,
I agree with you.
I honestly believe if we were still together...
Just a second. Give it to him good. Give it to him good. Miss Neary. Good. Give it to him good. Because he doesn't get it. I just said I agree with you.
Okay.
Stop. No more.
Listen to your mother.
Can I just add one last thing then?
Why do you want to add something? I just said I agree with you.
Do it.
You want to tell her you love her? You want to get married? You want to propose to her here?
No, I already have
Then just listen to your mother. Your mother's telling you to shut up.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
It wasn't my truck.
Listen, Miss
You didn't
Ellsworth.
have a car for a while and I was
Mr.
driving
Sanchez,
you working
you
back.
want your mother to slap you upside the head?
And later today,
He was stealing from the casino.
Yes, ma'am.
Nobody forces you to steal, Mary.
Well, this gentleman here did.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Aubrey Ellsworth says both her ex-boyfriend and his mother owe her money. James Sanchez and Joanne Neri claim Aubrey is controlling and possessive.
When you're in a relationship and you have $100 here and $76 there and $40 there and $50 there, courts don't want to get involved with that if the relationship doesn't work out.
It wasn't my truck.
I don't care whose truck it was. It wasn't my truck.
You drove it.
It was a truck that
Like
you
it was
at
yours?
least rode in. That's what you do when people live together.
Not when it gets impounded. He got it impounded.
Listen, Miss
You didn't
Ellsworth.
have a car for a while and I was
Mr.
driving
Sanchez,
you working
you
back.
want me to? You want your mother to slap you upside the head?
No.
She's going to do it, right?
Yeah.
Next time he opens his mouth, Miss Neary, give it to him good. You don't have a lawsuit against Mr. Sanchez. Mr. Sanchez and you live together in a monogamous, physical relationship, and I'm certain that during the time that you lived together, you went out to eat, he paid, sometimes you paid, other times you went to a movie, you went to a fair, you went out, he bought you a Frankfurter, he bought you a cup of coffee, you bought him,
I wish
whatever
it were
it
like
is.
that.
Whatever
It's
it
hard
is.
to be like that if you're as jealous as you are. If you weren't so jealous, it could have been better.
No. Harder!
I have a restraining order on him.
Harder! Judgment for the
Aubrey,
plaintiff,
there's
that
a
is
court-
Miss Neary, in the amount of $1,850. Your lawsuit with regard to Mr. Sanchez is dismissed. That's all.
Excuse me, step out.
He became violent with me and he started stalking me, following me, going to my job.
As far as harassing and stalking, she was the one writing me letters all day in class and following me and my new girlfriend outside of school.
He wanted to marry me, he wanted to be with me. It became an obsession that became violent and physical.
She socked me a couple times where I had to call the cops on her and almost have her put in jail.
It got to the point to where my work was saying, I'll put the restraining order on him for you if you don't.
She's mad because I don't want to get back with her and I found a better girl.
20-year-old student Ryan Vlock is suing 21-year-old student Jason Vonford for medical bills and pain and suffering as the result of an assault.
Order. All rise.
Yeah, this is case number 76 on the calendar in the matter of Locke versus Vondrack. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
What is your first name, Mr. Vlock?
Ryan,
Ryan? How old are you?
20.
And you? What's your first name?
Jason,
How old are you, Jason?
21.
Oh, okay. Mr. Vlock, according to your complaint, the defendant assaulted you outside of a bar after you had been drinking together and doing some sort of a beer game inside the bar. Is that right?
It was a duplex, a house.
It was a house?
Yes, duplex.
Duplex?
Yeah.
What I find interesting is that you claim he assaulted you and you were severely injured. Is that right?
Yes.
So you must have been in a lot of pain.
Yes, Your Honor.
Must have had a lot of suffering.
Yes.
So one would think that you think that your pain and suffering is worth something.
Yes.
Could you tell me why you're only suing him for $500?
I didn't really understand the amounts you can get, and I didn't want to.
Well, you know the difference between $500 and $5,000, don't you?
Yes.
Well, were you in pain $500 worth or $5,000 worth?
I'd say it's
Maybe
close to-
$2,500?
I'd say 2,500. It would be up.
But it wouldn't be $5,000.
No.
Maybe it could be $2,300? Could it be $2,300?
Yeah.
Ryan,
Yes.
maybe $2,300.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now tell me when this drinking party happened in the duplex.
I believe it was in October 28th.
You believe it was October 28th?
Yeah.
Well, is there anything that you have that would make you sure it was October 28th?
I had the case report and the ticket right here. October 28th.
A ticket report?
Yeah, I have
What kind of ticket, sir?
the ticket that the police officers issued the defendant.
Did you get one too?
Yes.
You got one too? What
Yes,
was
but it
your
was-
ticket for?
It was disturbing the peace, but it was dropped.
Okay. So tell me all about the party.
Well, we were playing a drink game called Beer Die.
Called what?
Beer Die, like the dice.
Beer die. Now, I would probably understand what that was, but I know that Bird wouldn't understand that. So I want you to explain to Bird exactly how that game is played.
You give a partner, and 4 people play, and it's like a rectangular table, and you sit on each end with cups for each person having a cup that goes in the corner, and you try and take a die and sink it into the other team's cup, or get it so it hits the table and they don't catch it to get a point.
And then what do you do with the beer?
Drink it. If you sink it, you got to chug it, and if it hits the cup, you got 5 drinks to a cup. You just got to drink each time it hits the cup and refill.
And how many people were playing this moronic game?
It was just us 4. It's only 4 at a time. There are people in the garage watching.
So there were 4 of you, and in your group of 4
Yeah.
that was playing this game, he was one of the 4?
Yeah, but not. His other partner's not here.
But he was in the 4?
Yes, he was.
That's just like he was in the 4. And how long had you been playing this game?
We played 3 games. It maybe lasted an hour to an hour and a half.
And during that time, everybody was dying and chug-a-lugging.
No, it wasn't much drinking going on. We were gambling for money, so it was more intense going.
Were you working at the time, Ryan?
No, I'm a full-time student.
Student. Did they teach you this in a course?
No.
Course curriculum?
No, ma'am.
No, it is not. What school did you go to at that time, Ryan?
UNL, University of Nebraska, Lincoln.
And what about Jason over here? Was he a student too?
Yes.
Yes, I am.
And whose duplex were you in?
A mutual friend of ours.
Who won the game?
They won the first 2, and they wanted to leave, but I talked them into staying for another one, go double or nothing, and we won that one, so it broke even.
Go Nebraska. So then the game is over.
Yeah.
Everybody leaves?
No, when we won right away, the defendant got up. He was kind of upset, and he was kind of talking how he liked to fight and how he kind of wanted to fight. And I was kind of in the heat of the moment, and I got up and I had words with him in the garage. We step outside, and he takes his shirt off right away. He was in front of me, and then I get out there, and we had some words. And then the owner of the house comes out and separates it and sends us on our way, or at least me and my friend on the way. So we continue to walk away from the fight, and we get to the sidewalk right before the street starts, and his partner that he was playing with, I don't know if he jogged down or he got up in front of us and stopped us, and he was trying to instigate a fight between me and the defendant, calling me and trying to get me to go back and just trying to instigate it so I go back. I didn't want anything to do with that. I was already told to leave, so I just, after asking him twice to get out of the way, I just gently pushed him. It wasn't... Gently push him. Just to move out of the way, and we continued walking.
Gently.
It was just...
Okay,
it wasn't...
Go ahead, Ryan.
Well, I made it right to the curb when I heard footsteps coming, and I managed to turn, and right when I turned, I was just blindsided and taken out. And I ended up, I guess...
You were what out?
I was, knocked out, basically, for a while. I was...
Well, taken out and knocked out are 2 different things.
Yeah.
Taken out, they don't say in Nebraska.
Oh, well, yeah, well, I guess it was a tackle from what I hear, but...
Spend more time in your English class, Ryan.
I'm an engineer major, I don't...
You still have to know how to speak English.
All right.
Go ahead.
Well, like I said, he tackled me, and I guess when he was going to tackle me, I turned right into his fist, which produced 9 stitches.
So you weren't blindsided. He was going to tackle you.
I just turned and I just got clocked, so I didn't...
So you don't know what happened?
I guess he kind of saw it a little bit, but I just turned, I heard footsteps coming, I just turned and just was, I thought it was a punch from what I hear, but I was told later that he was going to tackle me, and I turned into it. So I don't know how he was tackling me, but it was the fist right to my eye, though.
And you got 9 stitches, and you were really injured, and your clothes got ripped, and all that other kind of nasty. All right, Jason, let me hear your version of this.
Okay, we were playing the beer die game, right? We won the first 2 games. He was kind of upset about it, talking trash, calling us names, We're just like, whatever. We were there to have a good time, And we were going to leave, take off, and he's kind of...
Listen to me. I'm really sensitive about this. I want you to continue your testimony, and I want you to leave out the words you know.
All right,
now,
I'll do my best.
No. Do your best isn't good enough. You do it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
At least one other guy kicked me in the head, knocked me out unconscious. I have a picture of my face.
Don't care about it.
Okay. Then, from there...
It's not that I don't care. Just that I don't care.
And later today...
He was yelling. We woke my effing neighbors up, and one of his friends had apologized to me, and Mr. Booth yelled, "Sorry, hell, I fell."
We were pretty intoxicated.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Ryan Vlock says college schoolmate Jason Vondruk assaulted him during a beer drinking game. Jason says Ryan hit him first.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I lost my story. Okay. We were,
he was trashing you.
Yeah, we were going to take off, and he was kind of upset that he... Okay, we were upset. He was upset that he lost the game, and we were going to take off, and he talked us into staying. He was kind of upset, so, we kind of felt bad for him. And we stayed for another game. They won. He was still calling us names after the game, you know, and it got taken outside, and the party was kind of in the garage and outside. There were people in the garage, and there were people outside, like on the cement. And I look over, and he pushed my friend, like he said. He pushed my friend. It wasn't a gentle shove. It was a push.
Of course it was a push.
Yeah, so I went in to get in between it, and I backed up my friend, and next thing I know, I get hit in the head. And I turned around and clocked him, and I took him to the ground, put him in a headlock.
Now you got hit in the head by whom?
By
you
him.
don't know.
By him from behind.
Well, how do you know that it was him if it was from behind?
Well, because he was right here, my friend was right here, and I was backing him up, and he was the only guy that was behind me. So
you
it was
assumed
him.
it was him?
No, I didn't assume it was him, just because he was the only one that it could have been, because he was the only one that was behind me. But anyways, after we got to the ground, and
you got to the ground.
We both went to the ground. Just me and him were on the.
After he tackled me.
Me and him were on the ground. We were wrestling around on the ground, right? And then his witness over there, and at least one other guy jumped in and kicked me in the head, knocked me out unconscious. I have a picture of my face from when I was unconscious.
You care about it?
Okay. And then from there.
It's not that I don't care. It's just that I don't care.
Right. Right. And from there, I was knocked out, and Lena saw it. She was trying to hold him back because my friend said that even after I was knocked out on the ground unconscious, he was still going after me and two of his friends, and 2 or 3 guys were kicking me on the ground, kicking me in the head, and it's a pretty graphic picture that shows you. It'll show my face, but you don't care. But that's pretty much the deal, and she knows the rest. After I was knocked out, the ambulance came and took me to the hospital.
What about the plaintiff? Was he taken to the hospital too?
Yeah, my friend took me to the emergency room.
And that's where you got your stitches?
Yes. Can I go over some? We were never wrestling on the ground, and I never punched him. He didn't even get in between me and his friend. All it was his friend got in our way. I pushed him out of the way, and we kept walking. He never entered that scene at all until we got to the end of the street and ran up on me.
Ryan, you had been drinking for at least 2 hours.
The police showed up, and they let us drive.
The police let you drive?
Yeah, we weren't. That's why I mean we didn't drink too much, and the police let us. He drove me right to the emergency room, right from the scene.
Was he playing too?
Yeah.
Maybe they have a higher threshold in Nebraska. You don't let a 20-year-old college student who's been drinking for 2 hours, who's just been in a brawl, get into your car and drive anywhere. That would seem to be foolish, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Now, Ryan, would this whole incident have happened with Jason and ambulance and stitches if you hadn't been playing this stupid beer game?
It would never happen.
What does that tell you, Ryan?
Shouldn't play it.
And what does it tell you about wasting my time and the time of courts with your stupidity? I don't care if his face looked like it was used as a football in a pro game. The two of you deserved what you got. You were behaving like idiots. You're supposed to be intelligent college students. You're wasting your time with a stupid game. Both of you said things that you shouldn't have. Both of you were ready to fight with each other before this started. You both had attitude, and it got out of hand. What do you want from courts that have important things to deal with?
Well, I understand if it was a mutual conflict or if we were at it, but we were walking away, we were going towards the car, and we were leaving. We were done with the situation, and like I said, he ran up from behind after his friend tried to get...
No, listen to me, Ryan. According to your testimony, the first person that put their hands on another person was you.
Yes.
Was you. You say, I just tapped him out of the way and told him to move. Now, what if when you put your hands on this other person, because he had had too much to drink, he fell backwards, hit his head against a rock, and died? Would you have been responsible?
Yes.
You would have said to me, I just touched him. He was drinking, and he fell over, right? It would have been an accident, right? Just the whole thing got out of hand, right? So on a scale of $1 to $2,300 for your pain and suffering, what do you think you're entitled to?
$2,300. Like the scratches I had lasted forever. I had a black eye, the 9 stitches, the lacerations from the concrete when we landed on it.
Now, my next question is, this happened some time ago.
Yes.
How many times have you played this beer game since then?
We haven't played it.
Perfect. That's your lesson. Your case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I think it's pretty pathetic.
Basically, I witnessed Ryan attacking my friend Jason.
He totally hit me from behind, a cheap shot.
They got a little psycho from drinking and losing.
He got it worse than I did, so that's all I care about, I guess.
Retired beer salesman Tony Malavenda is suing maintenance man Robert Green for assaulting him in an airplane. Robert says Tony took his seat. He is countersuing for a ruined vacation.
Order. All rise.
Yeah, this is case number 92 on the calendar in the matter of Malavenda versus Breen. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Mr. Malavenda, it is your claim that the defendant assaulted you on an airplane.
That's correct.
The defendant says it was just a tap. And he is counterclaiming for ruining the vacation he was planning with his wife, including the loss of some theater tickets because he was hauled off of this plane and he missed his theater and he ruined his vacation. Is that right, Mr. Breen?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Tell me when this incident occurred.
On December the 1st of year 2001.
Where were you going?
To Las Vegas.
And where were you boarding the plane?
At Lindbergh Field in San Diego.
Okay. Tell me what happened, sir.
At 12 o'clock, we boarded the plane. I say we, it's Dane, Lay, and myself. And we sat down, and there was a...
Did you have assigned seats?
No, there are no assigned seating. We had boarding cards, and we had sat down. It was in the middle of the plane. 15, 20 minutes later, they announced there was a mechanical. Would everybody deplane, leave their luggage, and return to the same seat? It would take no longer than an hour. At that time, we did. And we came back within the hour, and they said, well, it's going to take longer to get the part than we thought it was. So they said, we're going to take another piece of equipment. Everybody go to gate 6.
Another piece of equipment meaning another plane?
A plane, yes, ma'am. Then at that point, both my friend and I went to gate 6. They opened up the gates, and they said, don't worry about seats, just grab the first seat you come to.
It was the same airlines?
Yes.
Not quiet.
And
not assigned seats.
No, ma'am. There was no assigned seats.
Okay.
So I approached, and the first row was taken, the second row was taken, the third row wasn't. So I let my friend, he doesn't fly that often. I said, go ahead and take the window seat, Dane, because you don't fly. I think he's flown once in his life. He says, fine. So I sat in the middle. I buckled in, and then at that point, the row of the stream of people were coming in. Then this gentleman comes up to me, and he says, you're in my seat. Move. Not please, not anything. And I laughed. I thought he was kidding, like, hey, this is first class, isn't it? You're in my seat. I thought he was, kidding. So at that point, I laughed. And I said, you got to be kidding. That's exactly what I said. You got to be kidding. And at that point, he smacked me on top of the head. And it was so hard, they heard it in the back of the plane. And it dazed me.
What did he smack you with?
At that time, I didn't know. I was told it was a book. And I don't know if the palm of the back of his hand hit me. I don't know if the book hit me. I do not know. At that point, he also made the statement, wait until I meet you in Vegas, or wait until I see you in Vegas. It took 5 seconds. And he kept on walking, and I said, I want that blank out of here. And the flight attendant came over, and I explained to her what had happened. They called the harbor police. They went to get him, and they got the wrong person at first. And, and then the party who was facing me, she spoke up. She says, I work for the San Diego Police Department, indicating that she wasn't a police officer, but she worked for them. And she said, I can identify him. And that she got up and went back and identified him, and then he was removed from the aircraft. A few minutes went by, they came and got me. I exited the plane. Would you like to sign a complaint? And I said, yes, I would. And at that point, that was the end of that incident. Got back on the plane, we went to Vegas, and he shows up the same hotel I'm at. Coincidence, and there's no way he would know. So apparently it was coincidence. But in my mind, I don't know how his mind's working, and I don't know what is going through it. So I avoided him.
Did you follow through with the complaint, sir?
Yes, I did.
What happened with that complaint?
They dismissed it because it was just too costly to go ahead and prosecute him.
Because you had no serious injuries.
I was dazed, and I have constant headaches, but that's beside the,
Okay. Fine. Now I'll hear your end of the story.
Well, it was also December 1st. It was, we got there at 9:15 for a 12:30 flight. There are no assigned seating, as he says. It's a cattle call. We had boarding passes number 2 and 3 because we had been there since 9:30 in the morning waiting for the 12:30 flight. We boarded the plane. and it was a mechanical problem. We were in the third seat back from the entrance of the plane at that time. They said that they were going to need to move us to another plane, and they did ask us at that time, quote, let's make this as friendly and convenient as possible. Would you all please take your current seat when we move to the new plane?
Okay.
They did repeat that several times while we were...
Yes, ma'am.
They did repeat that several times while we were changing from one plane to another. Got onto the plane. I don't believe I've ever seen this gentleman before in my life. Whether he was in the window seat, I don't know. This gentleman and his friend who was in the windows...
Try looking at me when you're testifying, sir.
In the aisle seat. I asked him to move. I did say, you're in my seats. What do you think you're doing? Move. He laughed, said, what, are you kidding me? No way. Not going to happen. Waved me to go to the back of the plane. I asked him again to move. He continued to laugh in my face. I did at that point lean over the back of the seats in front of him and did mention that when we reached Las Vegas, he might prefer to have me as his friend. Not the most intelligent thing that I've ever done, but that is what I said. At that point, he stood up and said, oh, come on, I'll be your friend. Come to my hotel. I'll buy you a drink. We'll have a great time.
You're lying. That's a lie.
No, I'm not.
No, that's a lie. That's not even in your answer. That's not even in your answer, sir. Don't make up stories as we're moving along here. Don't make up stories as you move. He's sitting in his seat. He's buckled in. You lean over. And what you said in your answer was you acted foolishly, but you tapped him with the soft end of a paperback book.
After he stood up and had words with me and was in my face laughing, waved me to the back of the plane one more time. Yes, he was standing up to provoke me. And yes,
he was provoking you? Are you out of your mind? I mean, are you out of your mind? Is there something chronically wrong with you?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You saw what he did. What did you say to him?
I didn't say much. I was
shocked. You were shocked. You said to him, what's wrong with you? Does he have a bad temper?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Tony Malabenda says fellow passenger Robert Green assaulted him on an airplane. Tony claims Robert thumped him on the head with a book.
Now, sir, you put your hands on somebody over a seat in a plane? Is there something wrong with you?
Ma'am, after a 3-hour wait to get onto the plane.
Everybody waited for 3 hours. Everybody had a deep plane. Everybody.
Yes, ma'am.
You weren't the only one. You weren't taking a private plane, were you?
No.
So you're getting on a plane. Somebody is sitting in a row that you had been on in a previous plane. You told them to move. They didn't move, and you hit them. That's what happened. I mean, that's the long and short of it. You can't do that. I mean, what did you say to him? You're his wife. What did you say to him?
I was ahead of him in line, and I didn't actually speak to my husband. I was watching the situation.
Stand up here. You get back in your seat. You saw what he did. What did you say to him?
I didn't say much. I was
shocked.
Yes.
You were shocked.
I was shocked at the actions of both men, but
No.
it escalated to what it had.
You were shocked. You said to him, what's wrong with you? Does he have a bad temper?
No, not really.
Not really. I doubt
He
that.
needs to be provoked, but...
By being provoked, it means somebody was sitting in row 3? That was his provocation for hitting somebody?
The gentleman was pushing his buttons. He was...
No. He said, you're in my seat, move. He said, I'm not moving. He said it again. Then he leans over and he said to him, when we get to Vegas, you want to be my friend. That's a threat. That's before anything happened. That's before he got up. So your counterclaim for your destroyed vacation is dismissed because you deserve to have a destroyed vacation. Now, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
You're suing the defendant for $5,000. That's overkill.
Yes, ma'am.
Big time. You weren't injured. But he certainly has to be taught that this is not behavior that is acceptable. What are all these papers that you have to show me? I'm just curious.
These are the police report and the witness's report.
Let me just take a look at it quickly.
And my witness off. Yes, ma'am.
You know, Mr. Breen, you don't look like an unintelligent man. Bad-tempered, but not unintelligent. You just recounted to me what you said exactly. You made up this whole big story about what he said to you, and that he got up and he was confrontational, and you made a whole story, right, about what he said to you.
I didn't make a story at all, Your
Yeah,
Honor.
sure you did. And you remembered it, and you recounted it. How many months later? 6, 7, 8 months later, you recounted that statement to me as if it was gospel truth. Is that right, sir?
That's what happened on the plane, Your Honor.
All right. So what I'm suggesting to you, sir, is do you think one's memory becomes clearer as time goes on, or do you think it becomes dull?
It becomes a little dulled.
Of course. So I'm going to read you what the police said. Police said, suspect Breen made the following statement, and then it talks about having to deplane one plane for another, and you were told to take the same seats. Breen asked him to move, and Malavenda laughed and refused. As Breen was walking away, and this is your statement, Malavenda made a smart comment which Breen could not recall. So you're saying you're one of the few people who, after a period of time, without hypnosis, without truth serum, things become clearer than they were on the day of the incident. So to the police, you couldn't recall what he said to you, but to me, 8 months later, you recall every word. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500. Your counterclaim's dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
The way he said, "You're in my seat, get out." I laughed. I thought the gentleman was kidding.
I was wrong to hit him. I saw him hit Tony upside the head very hard with a paperback book. This book, on the open part, pretty much like that.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Colleen versus Bradford. Step forward, please.
23-year-old bartender Nita Colleen is suing her former friend, 27-year-old furniture refinisher Terrence Bradford, for assaulting her during a night of drinking.
Miss Colleen, how do you know the defendant?
Terrence Bradford was a friend of mine.
What does that mean, a friend of his? Was he a boyfriend?
A friend of mine, just an associate. We lived a block away from each other. If I wasn't working and he wasn't working, we'll call each other, go out.
It's your complaint that he assaulted you for no reason one evening when you were both drinking.
Right.
Mr. Bradford says that you were drunk and you went nuts and he was merely defending himself. So I want you to tell me when this happened, what kind of an assault it was, what your injuries were, and then I have a few other serious questions to ask you.
Okay.
When was it?
It was on September 11th of 2002.
Where were you and what were you doing?
I was in Terrence Bradford's home. We were...
Who else lives in his home?
His mother and I think his stepfather, his father.
Were they home?
His mother was home, yes.
Go ahead. What time of the day?
Around 11, 12 o'clock at night.
Come on, let me hear what happened.
Okay, what happened was... Terrence called me earlier that night. He was like, "What you doing?" I said, "Nothing, I'm not doing anything." "Well, let's go get some beer that he drinks." Now, this is like some strong beer, and I don't really drink like that. Every time I get with Terrence, I drink with him. And we were drunk that night. We were both drinking. And
in his mother's house?
In his mother's house, yes. And what happened was... I couldn't breathe. I was having difficulty breathing. All I remember was...
You were having difficulty breathing from what?
From, I don't know, I just couldn't breathe. I was on the bed. I remember him calling his mother, asking his mother, what's the matter with her? She's not breathing right. She's acting funny. I remember his mother saying that, you know, just get a cold rag or whatever. She's just been drinking a little bit. She'll be all right. Next thing I know, I'm standing in the kitchen with his mother. Then she has a towel to my head. I don't remember getting hit. I got hit 3 times, actually.
You just told me you don't remember getting hit.
No, I don't remember getting hit. But the way that I got hit, I have pictures if you want to see. I sustained a black eye. My nose was busted, and I have a scar on my head from where I got hit, where actually, if he did hit me, he had to have hit me at least a minimum of 3 times.
Maybe you fell off the bed.
No, I did not fall off the bed.
How do you know?
I did not fall off the bed.
Just a minute, Miss Colleen. What you're telling me is that you were so drunk that you had no idea how you got bruised on your face. Is that what you're telling me?
That I was so drunk. We were drinking that night.
Just a second. No, just a second. If somebody hits you 3 times, severely enough to cause injuries, which you're going to show me in a second,
right,
and you don't remember how that happened, but you're surmising that from the photographs it came as a result of being hit 3 times, what you're telling me is that you don't remember being hit. Is that right? And if you don't remember being hit, you don't remember being hit because you were too drunk. You report him to the police?
No, I didn't.
Just a second. Is there any reason why somebody who has, can I have those pictures? Somebody who has this kind of injury that you claim was as a result of getting beaten by him doesn't report this to the police?
His cousin called me 2 days later
Terrence is sorry. Please don't press charges on Terrence.
I'm not interested in that, and I'm not even hearing that.
Okay.
It's hearsay. It's meaningless.
Okay.
I don't believe it.
Okay, okay.
You
well,
have that witness here today? That person who told you that he was
that's
sorry
his
he
cousin.
hit you?
I don't talk to anybody.
Listen to me. Do you have that person here today, Miss Colleen?
No, I don't.
Good. Then I'm not interested in what they have to say. Well, this certainly, Bird. Do you think? And I want you to just take a look at this. You think that this mark could have happened if you fell off a bed?
It's possible.
Yeah, sure. Anything's possible. All right, Mr. Bradford. Tell me what happened.
When she came around my house, she was already a little drunk. So I said, let's go to the store get some more beer.
That was a smart thing to do. That was initially a smart thing to do, sir. So she was already a little drunk, and you said, let's go get some more. Is that right? Shh, please. How old are you?
27.
The future of America. So she's already drunk. You said, let's go get some more beer, and I assume that you went in her car. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
That's what you tell me in your answer. You got in her car. She was already drunk.
Yeah.
And you drove to get some more beer.
Mm-hmm.
Who drove?
I did.
Who drove?
Did I drive? Oh, I forgot. Did you? I don't know. I did drive.
Lying. He's lying.
Miss Colleen.
lying
Miss
about?
Colleen.
Lying
I don't want to
about
hear you.
everything.
I'm enjoying this,
Lying.
please. Go ahead.
After we got the beer, we went out Huntersville, on my old
You went
neighborhood.
what?
So after we got the beer, we went out Huntersville. It's a neighborhood. I used to stay out there.
What did you do? Just stay in the car and drink, or you went to friends?
Oh, yeah, went to a friend's house. Went to his house.
Okay, so you went to his house and you were drinking. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. We out there. We still drinking out there. After we get finished drinking the 40s, we started drinking some liquor. Then Nita started wilding.
She started what?
Wilding.
What is that?
Acting crazy.
I'm crazy.
Right. That I understand.
So I was telling her to calm down because the security guards out there. Oh, they calm down, Nita. They're gonna arrest you. So I threw her in the car, then went back to my house. I told my mom that she was in there breathing heavy. And then we went outside on the porch because I said she needed some air. And then she just snapped. Then I told her, I said, look, just get your stuff and go home.
So you're going to put her in her car, being as drunk as she was, and send her home?
Oh, she started snapping on me for nothing. I don't know why.
Can I say something?
No. Could you finish, please?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you would look like you were taking a nap. Get to how, if you know, she got these marks on her face. Would you tell me, please?
Okay. I threw her up against the wall.
Okay.
Then I told her to go home. Then I was walking out the door. Then she threw a bottle at me. I ducked it, then I hit her.
Where did you hit her?
In her face.
Is that the black eye she had?
Yeah.
Now, how'd she get this mark on her forehead?
I hit her on the forehead, too.
Okay, good. And what did she do to you?
Nothing.
Nothing.
She threw the bottle at me.
She threw a bottle at you. What
Yeah.
kind of a bottle did she throw at you?
A 40 bottle.
Do you have any recollection of that?
Ma'am, no. I never went out on the porch that night.
You were drunk.
We were in the bedroom. No, we were in the room watching TV and we were drinking. We had just came back from Huntersville that night. I
Miss
agree
Colleen,
with that.
listen to me very carefully. Don't get drunk. How old are you?
22.
You don't get drunk?
23 now.
Don't get drunk.
Okay.
That's the lesson. He got drunk. You got drunk. You don't remember what happened to you. He's honest enough or slow enough to tell me that he hit you 3 times, all right? That's honest. He hit you 3 times because he said you threw a 40 bottle at him. Well, that's really no excuse for hitting you 3 times. Maybe a push to get you away if you're drunk, but he was drunk too.
I mean, he wants to get drunk and be hitting on people for no reason because I couldn't breathe or whatever. That doesn't make any sense.
Where is your responsibility in all this? He's an
I
idiot.
don't have any responsibility
Oh, you
in
don't?
any of this.
Oh,
That's
you
what I'm
do?
trying to say.
Oh,
if
listen
we're
to me.
friends and we go out
My
and
mouth
drink.
is moving, your mouth has to stop. Your responsibility to yourself as an adult is not to get so drunk so that you don't know what you're doing. You do have a responsibility. Because if he did, in fact, assault you when you had no responsibility, then you would have called the police and made a complaint, and he would have been arrested for assault because that's what he did. And the reason that you couldn't do that, even if you had wanted to do that, is because you were so drunk that you have no self-induced. He didn't order you to drink. He didn't compel you to drink. He didn't get you down on the floor and use a funnel and funnel it into your mouth. You went to his house on purpose for the express purpose of drinking. And I believe everything he says that you did arrive at his house already having consumed alcohol.
Okay, can I say one thing?
No.
He called 2 days later.
What part of no didn't you understand?
How is he going to apologize?
What part of no didn't you understand? Because he's stupid and called you to apologize.
He agreed that he was going to pay for my medical bills.
Good, he should pay for your medical bill.
For my one
Good.
day
Just
I
a
missed
second.
from work.
He should pay for your medical bill. Did you agree to pay for a medical bill?
Yes, ma'am. I told you.
Yes, you did. Good. And what was your medical bill?
$159.
That's what he's going to pay. Judgment for the plaintiff.
He
in the amount of
agreed- no, he agreed to
$159
pay for this, too.
outside.
Bodies are excused. You may step out.
He was drinking. He was drunk. I was drinking. I was drunk.
I was trying to calm her down.
I was not out of control that night.
I just didn't want to get in trouble. That's all.
Him hitting me, I don't remember any of that. And for him to do that was wrong.
Homemaker Jackie Bremsey is suing the mother of her daughter's schoolmate, correctional officer Jacqueline Griffin. Jackie claims Jacqueline's son, 10-year-old Donald, broke her daughter's nose in a fight.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 410 on the calendar in the matter of Bremsey versus Griffin. You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Young people, have seats.
All right, let's talk very briefly. You two moms don't know anything about what happened at school on the day of this incident when your daughter's nose was broken. But it is your claim that the defendant's son assaulted your daughter, broke her nose, and you want to be compensated for the unreimbursed medical bills that you sustained.
That's correct.
Mrs. Griffin says that her son was merely defending himself, that your daughter started the fight, and she is not responsible. Correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So why don't you two ladies sit down, and I'm going to see these two young people right up here. What's your first name?
Kiera.
And yours?
Donald.
I'm going to start with Donald. Now, Donald, you know that you punched Kiera in the face, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And her nose, according to her mother, was broken. So I want you to tell me why you did that.
I got to school that morning, and kids had came up and said, Kiera called your mom a low down dirty. Okay.
Okay. So somebody came up to you and told you.
Yes, ma'am.
That Kiera had called your mom a nasty name.
Yes, ma'am.
What did you do?
Okay, Kiera, she was on a field trip, and she came back, and I guess the kids had already told her. And we was...
Okay. Were you on a field trip that day?
Yes, I was.
Did you have a conversation with somebody when you came back from the field trip?
Yes, I did.
Who did you have a conversation with?
My friend that I was standing next to.
And what's your friend's name?
Tony.
And what was the conversation about with Tony?
We were talking about things that we were going to do on the playground, not about me calling his mother a name.
Well, let me ask you this question. Why would you call his mother a name?
I don't know, but I didn't.
Didn't say anything bad about his mother?
No, ma'am.
Well, what happened after you had this conversation with this gal who was telling you about these bad things that she was saying about your mom?
It was around lunchtime, okay? I guess she had already came back, and it's a breezeway that you walk down and go to the playground. And I walked up to Kiera and I asked her, and then she kicked me and she said, I didn't say nothing about your mom. And then I punched her in the face.
So what you're saying is she kicked you first?
Yes, ma'am.
Where did she kick you?
In the groin area. She tried to.
She what?
She tried to kick me in my groin area.
But she didn't kick you?
She kicked me, but I had blocked it so she could not
kick you
in that spot.
Okay, so she kicked in your direction, but you didn't come together.
She kicked, but I blocked it. Okay. Okay, and so then I punched her, and she had a jump rope. It's red, white, and blue. Okay, like the American flag. And she hit me in the head with it. And then by that time, we just started fighting. And then Miss Porter, she saw the fight. And then by that time, she came, took us to the office. And then Kiera's mom came. And then they went in the office.
Donald says that you tried to kick him. Is that true?
Yes, it is true, but I did not kick him.
But you tried to kick him. Why did you try to kick him?
That was after the fact of the fight, not when the fight started.
Well, you tell me now, Kiera, how the fight started.
He came to me and said, "What'd you call my mama?" And I said, "I didn't call your mama nothing." And then he pushed me and I pushed him back.
He pushed you? How did he push you?
Real hard, like this, pushing me back or something, and up against the wall. And I pushed him back, and then he came in my face. He grabbed my hair, pulling my hair down and then punching me in my face, just keep on putting on one side of my face. Then he started punching me in my nose about 10 times, I should say. And then Shayla went to go get a teacher, and he ran off to the playground like did nothing happen.
Had you ever had trouble with Donald before?
No, ma'am.
Had you ever had trouble with Kiara before?
No, ma'am.
Well, maybe this other young girl who was telling you the stories was just making things up. Is that possible?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, why would you believe her?
I went to her and asked her, and she kicked me, and then I punched her.
I don't believe that. No, Donald.
I went to her and asked
No, Donald. I don't believe that you asked her, and in response to your asking her, she kicked you.
Yes.
Don't believe that, Donald. Doesn't sound right to me. Doesn't sound right to me, Donald. Sounds like a good story you might tell your mother, but it doesn't sound truthful to me. Have you ever had trouble scrapping in school before? What are you looking up for? You're not that old that you have to remember.
With one boy. With a boy? Yeah.
Once before.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you lose your temper?
Yes, ma'am.
And what happened to you in school when you lost your temper?
We started fighting on the playground.
How many fights have you had in school?
None.
Didn't think so. So, Donald.
Now.
You see how you know how to be a polite young man?
Yes, ma'am.
You got to carry that over to the outside world, Donald. Understand, Mrs. Griffin? He wasn't telling you the truth. She didn't kick him first. He got angry. And he got angry, Mrs. Griffin, because somebody told him that she had called you a bad name.
May I?
Sure. Go ahead.
I really don't know exactly what went on in this incident, but prior to this, the kids were calling one another. They supposedly were secretly liking each other. This child called my house numerous times.
So?
They liked each other, so I figured it was just a little disagreement between maybe a little girlfriend and boyfriend, and that's how it started. I don't really know how it went.
All right, Miss Griffin, let me go back a second. What I don't want you to do is to make excuses for Donald.
Oh, no, there's no excuse.
Okay.
None.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You know how many hours your mother has to work for $175?
12.
A little bit more than that.
She has to work a long time to get that money, Donald. So you not only owe her an apology, you also owe your mother an apology. You start with her.
And later today,
Your son is an alcoholic. He's not providing for his family. She has a baby and 2 other children, and you're suing her for a deep freeze? Where is your brain?
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jackie Breamsey says 10-year-old Donald Griffin punched her daughter in the face, breaking her nose. Donald says she called his mom a bad name.
All right, Miss Griffin, Donald was told by someone, a gossip, that this young lady said something bad about you. Now, she says she didn't say it, so that could have been just a troublemaker.
That's true.
But your son has a short fuse, because he's been in trouble for fighting before. And what he would naturally do is not go over to Kiera and have just a discussion with her. He would be angry. Doesn't strike me as being logical that if he went over to her and said, "Did you call my mommy a name?" and her response would be to kick him in the groin. That doesn't sound logical to me. What sounds logical is he might have said to her, "Did you call my mommy a name?" And she said, "No, I didn't." And then he hit her or pushed her, put his hands on her. That's logical. And that's what happened. And it's all because he listened to somebody who was gossiping. Do you understand, Donald?
Yes, ma'am.
You don't want to spend the next few years with your mom having to come defending you in court, do you?
No, ma'am.
Because that's not pleasant for you and especially for your mother. Okay, step up, Miss Breamsey. Tell me about your nose. What happened to your nose, Kiara?
It was broken. He punched me in it a lot of times.
Tell me what it felt like.
It felt like it was hurting really bad. It was getting swollen up. And
You have any pictures? See, you have some pictures. I'd like to see them. How old are you, Donald?
10.
Looks to me like you punched her in the eye, too. Did you do that, too?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Breamsey, how much were your out-of-pocket expenses? Because it's hard for me to tell. It looks like they were $165?
That's correct, and $10 for the radiologist.
You have to take care of that, Donald, which means your mother has to take care of it. Does your mother make a lot of money?
Close to. Yes, ma'am.
You think your mother... Look at your mother. You You think your mother makes a lot of money?
Yes, ma'am.
You do? Miss Griffin, you make a lot of money?
I doubt it.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a correctional officer.
Your mother works very hard and does not make a lot of money. She doesn't have a lot of money to go around getting you out of scrapes. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, you're very lucky that Miss Breamsey only wants her unreimbursed medical bills, because I don't think she wants to hurt your mother. Believe me, if you were older, she'd want a lot more. You know how many hours your mother has to work for $175?
12.
A little bit more than that.
She has to work a long time to get that money, Donald.
Yes, ma'am.
She doesn't have money to go around to buy you out of these scrapes. You got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you really understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
So you not only owe her an apology, you also owe your mother an apology, because your mother's going to have to come up with this money for you. You start with her.
I'm sorry.
You mean it?
Yes, ma'am.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $175. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I hope Dawn has learned something from this.
She told him she didn't like him at all.
Never pay attention to other students.
No, we're not friends, and he did like me.
If they hit you, you hit them back, but you're not supposed to hit them, though.
Kathy Pogue and her daughter, 18-year-old student Dana Pogue, are suing Dana's sister, 20-year-old caregiver Nina Hawk, and her husband, 22-year-old inventory specialist John Hawk. Catherine and Dana say the couple owe for babysitting fees, the value of a couch, and money taken from a bank account. The Hawks are countersuing for 3 months of living expenses.
Order. All rise.
Your Honor, this is case number 135 on the calendar in the matter of Pogue versus Hawk. You're welcome. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat.
Mrs. Pogue, this young lady is your daughter,
Yes, ma'am.
and this is your other daughter,
Yes, ma'am.
and you're the
Husband.
husband. Let's deal with your daughter's lawsuit first, because I think that that might be easier. You are suing your sister because you claim when you were living with her, she had promised to pay you for babysitting.
Yes, ma'am.
And she didn't.
Yes, ma'am.
How old are you?
18.
How old were you when you were living with your sister?
18.
When did you start to live with your sister?
The middle of February.
Why?
I was kicked out of my father's house because I did not get along with my new stepmother. So Nina and her husband said that it would be fine for me to move in with them.
How long had you been living with your father?
I moved in with my father when I was 15.
Prior to that, you had lived with your mother?
Yes.
Why did you leave your mother's house?
Me and my mom didn't really get along at the time.
Now, what was your living arrangement with your sister?
At the beginning, we lived in an apartment, and I had my own room. And then after that, we moved into a bigger house, so I still had my own room.
Okay. Were you paying any expenses?
Yes. Actually, no, I had them under my name. I had the cable under my name and the telephone under my name, but they were paying it.
So you were not paying any expenses in the house?
No, because I was still going to school. And
the answer is you were not. You were 18, but
Yeah.
not paying any expenses in the house.
Yes.
Were you getting any money from your mother and father?
No.
Who was giving you spending money?
My sister.
And how many months did you live with her?
3 months, I think, exactly.
Is that about right?
3.5 months.
So for 3.5 months, you lived while you were legally an adult, 18. You're living with your sister. You're not paying rent. You're not paying for food.
No,
You're not- Shh. You're not paying for transportation. And if you had to go to a movie or something, if you wanted to go to a movie or out with friends.
I
paid for it.
I never asked her to pay for it.
Did she ever give you any spending money? I mean, I can't believe that in 3.5 months you didn't say, could I have $5 or could I have $10 or...
Bought her clothes, gave her money. Yes, I gave her $50 one time, $30 another just for spending money, paid for her boutonniere for her prom, bought her pants, bought her a whole outfit, bought her food for a bird. She neglected to tell me
Which
the
you
last
killed.
month her bird was without food and it died. But besides that, I paid it all.
So why would you sue her for babysitting occasionally for her children?
Because it was a verbal agreement that she said she would give me $110 from her financial aid for going to school to watch her daughter.
During the summer, if I worked And she made me almost lose my job. I had only worked there a week and a half, and she bailed out on me every single time I asked her to babysit during that only week and a half that she lived with me and I worked.
I'm not going to bother with your babysitting claim, so now you can sit down. You should say thank you to your sister and forget it. All right, now let's get to your claim. There came a time when you wanted to use a bank account that was your daughter's, and you put money into a bank account that was in her name and her husband's?
Just my name.
Just your name?
Mm-hmm.
She opened the account for me, Your Honor.
She couldn't get an account anywhere else. It was a favor.
But then, when you moved that account, there were some outstanding checks, I gather, or outstanding debits, and they took part of the balance that belonged to your mother. You acknowledge that?
Yes.
How much did they take that belonged to you?
$134.77, Your Honor.
Okay, well, you are clearly owed that.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. She did not give me a chance to pay it, though.
All right, $134.77.
We called twice, Your Honor, and her husband said to me
after
on the
offering
phone,
to make payments.
no, before I even had any chance to say anything else, her husband said to me, quote unquote, take me to court.
Lick my Your Honor.
And that was very unbelievable.
Yeah, sure is. Not the way to speak to somebody, sir. I'm just telling you. There's no excuse for that.
She called. She called my mom's house because we didn't have a phone at the time, and told my mom what happened. So I think it was like 4 days later. I called her Colette.
He said, "I hear you're going to take me to court."
No, just please.
Okay.
And I said, "I hear my mom tells me you're going to sue me for money that was taken out of your account to cover our other account." And she said yes. And I said, and she wanted the money by the 1st. She said it was part of her rent money. And I said, I don't know if I can give you all that money by the 1st because my rent's also due. And she said that wasn't acceptable. She needed her money and that I was going to stiff her. And I said, well, then then sue me.
No, I'm telling you, sir, that what you said to her was uncalled for.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, good. Then I don't have to yell at you anymore.
Also, Your Honor, he told me that I couldn't see my granddaughter anymore.
Yeah, he's an idiot.
Well, if you weren't smoking pot and drinking alcohol and
just
everything else.
Stop.
Maybe I'd allow it.
Please, I am not getting into this. Let me just take care of the money, please.
Yes.
You want to fight with each other? Do it outside.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Your Honor.
Listen to me. Shouldn't say anything else that is going to make any situation worse.
And later today,
they dressed shamelessly and makeup, and they were hellions. We're 9 and 11 going on 17.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Catherine Pogue and her daughter Dana Pogue say Dana's sister, Nina Hawk, and her husband John owe for babysitting fees, a couch, and stolen money.
You have some nonsense here about a couch that you say you loaned to your daughter and she sold.
Yes, ma'am.
You sure you want to get into that?
Ma'am, that was the agreement between her and I.
What was the
agreement? I had a pretty good sized house, and I was going to move closer to my job.
Go ahead. What year was this?
The beginning of the year 2000.
All right. You said take one of my couches.
I said take both the sofa and the love seat. Please keep them in your control. If you decide to get rid of them, please, I would like them back. Or if you decide to sell them, this is how much I would like for them, because she said that her friend had expressed an interest in buying them. Come to find out, I asked her about them, and she said, oh no, Danielle has them in storage. And I said, oh, well then was Danielle going to buy them? And she said, Danielle already gave me the $350. And I said, well then why didn't you give it to me? She said, well, I needed to use it at the time. And I said, okay, I understand that, but that was the agreement that you agreed to pay for them.
Go ahead.
This woman talks to me on a
No.
daily basis.
Talk to me about the couches.
She knows exactly what happened. When I was 17, April, she moved out to live with her boyfriend in Vancouver. She left me half the furniture. I've still got the buffet table, the sewing machine, never said anything about payment. I never expected this. I sold it to a friend of mine a year later. I was evicted a week and a half after she moved out because she hadn't paid 4 months' rent.
Okay, when your mother moved, who remained in the house with you?
My boyfriend and his best friend had to move in and help pay expenses.
Just a second. So it was just you and your boyfriend?
Yes.
Is that accurate?
Yeah, pretty close. Pretty
close. Forget the couches. Judgment for the plaintiff on your claim for $134.77. Let me deal with your counterclaim for a moment.
Okay.
And it will take only a moment.
Okay.
Your sister moved in with you, and your counterclaim is that your mother should pay for the 3 months that your sister lived with you.
She offered to help pay out and never paid a dime to help.
Your Honor.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Well, if you did not have what I consider a real contract with your mother, your sister she certainly is under no obligation to pay anything for your sister who had turned 18. So you want to tell me what financial contract you allege with your mother with regard to your sister's support?
Not anything in writing, just verbally that she said she'd help out whenever she could and
Helping out whenever she could is not a contract.
Yeah.
Because she can't. Because she's going to tell you that she can't. All right, so your counterclaim is dismissed, and on your claim you have $134.77.
Okay.
Listen, I don't know what caused all of this animus all of a sudden, because it sounds to me as if, despite its dysfunctional nature, the family had been working reasonably well.
I love both my daughters dearly, Your Honor.
Well,
Your Honor,
Yeah.
may I ask you something?
who are you?
I talked to Mr.
How are you related to these people?
He lives with me, Your Honor.
I'm
And he spoke with John
It was-
about the money owed.
I'm the other person that was on the account. It was my money also.
Just a second. Are
I've
you
got proof
related?
that it
Are you
wasn't.
related to any of these people in any way?
No, Your Honor.
Then I don't want to hear from you.
They tried to say it was his.
Love your show, by the way.
Good. I love your silence.
Your Honor.
Listen to me. Shouldn't say anything else that is going to make any situation worse.
Your Honor, I had no intention of doing that. I would like to tell you that the babysitting thing was, Dana did want to go out and get a job. They told her, no, please, we will pay you for babysitting. That was how that all came about.
Ms. Polk, let me tell you something.
I understand.
If an 18-year-old moves in with a sister and her husband, and there isn't a lot of money floating around, it seems anywhere there's not a lot of money floating around, and it does cost money to have another human being in your house.
Yes.
I am positive that they extended themselves in certain ways financially.
That's probably
in order
true.
to have your daughter, her sister, living with them. Whether it's for a pair of shoes or a pair of sneakers or something for graduation or an outfit or $5 to go to the movies or whatever. There shouldn't have been an issue. There shouldn't even have been an issue with regard to this suit by your daughter.
And I
That's all.
understand.
So let's not say any more. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $134.77. That's all.
Thank you,
Parties
Your
are
Honor.
excused. You may step out.
They just don't understand that family is family.
I'm really sorry it had to come to this.
Basically, they've run out of people to borrow money from because they burnt all their bridges, and that's what this is really about.
I don't understand why it happened.
I called him up, asked him if he wanted to handle it like a man and make payments, and he said no, take me to court.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of DeVault versus Eddie, step forward.
21-year-old student Amy DeVault is suing her ex-boyfriend, 21-year-old car salesman Cliff Eddy, for the down payment on a car and for several unpaid loans.
Mr. Vault, according to your claim, the defendant owes you for a down payment that you loaned to him for a car.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Now, Mr. Eddy, if I'm reading your answer correctly, sir, you acknowledge that she gave you the down payment for the car. Is that right?
That's correct.
And it was a loan.
That's correct.
But you say she owes you money, so it's a wash.
Yeah.
Okay. So then we can go over the basics very quickly. You were living together with him when you made this loan?
For a very short time, yes.
What's the short time?
I probably had moved in and moved out within a matter of 4 or 5 days.
And during that 4 or 5 day period is the time that you made this loan?
Yes.
Don't you ever watch this courtroom? Ever? Did you ever see the cases here?
Yes.
Did you ever learn anything?
I've learned a lesson now.
Sometimes you have to get burned yourself, and you can't learn by somebody else's mistakes. But I want you to keep watching. And how much was the down payment that you loaned to him?
The down payment was $1,000, and the loan was just over $1,000 for the coverage in case we couldn't make a payment.
You're suing for $1,711. What's the rest of the money for?
I had moved in with him, and I'd given him $200 for my share of the rent. I had also paid a few bills for him, which he ensured that I would be reimbursed for, a water bill and groceries, things like that. I bought tons of things for him. You know, I'll pay you back. I just don't have money right now, he assured me. He'd lost his job, and he had paychecks that were
had insufficient funds behind them.
I mean, all this happened in the 4 or 5 days?
No, we had been dating for a couple of months.
According to your complaint, you have some sort of an IOU that he wrote.
Yes.
Well, I'd like to see it. Where did you get this note from?
From a store where you purchase stationary legal documents.
When did you purchase this?
In the beginning of June.
Last June?
Yes.
And tell me what days you lived with him?
Approximately the end of May, beginning of June.
And what made you have him sign this June 30th note?
I had moved out and I wanted the money for the rent money that I had given him, and I wanted it back because I didn't live there for more than 2 or 3 days in June, which the money was for June's rent, and he had spent it.
Show this to him, please. Is that your signature, sir?
Yes, it is.
So you signed this note for $315, right?
That's correct.
Now, I'm just curious, Mr. Vault, what happened to the $1,000 for the car?
After the loan had gone through, we went to the bank and we had cashed.
No, but I'm asking you is you moved out.
Yes.
Right? So why would you have him sign a note for $315 when actually he owed you, according to you, at least $1,300? Why is this only for $315?
I have a second contract.
Let me see it. All right. Well, we're talking about two different things. You took out a loan. Now, was this the loan for the car?
Yes.
All right. He's paid off the car loan.
No,
Is that right, sir?
No.
That's what you said.
I paid off the balance of the vehicle. This was a separate loan through Wells Fargo Bank.
For what?
For $1,000 cash, down payment for the vehicle.
Oh, I see. This you didn't pay off?
No.
Okay. Now, your defense is, sir, that she owed you money.
Yeah.
I'm waiting.
Well, we started dating. We were dated for about 4 or 5 months. She was in a sorority house then, and she would stay over at my house frequently, almost every night. When the summertime came, you have to leave the house for the summer. So she moved in with me then. In the process of that, I was working at a dealership in Corvallis there, and I was looking for another vehicle. I went down to...
Could you get what she owes you money for, sir? Is that what we're getting to?
Yeah, that's what we're getting to.
Let's get there faster.
Okay. But I went down to the bank to get the loan. I couldn't get the loan because I have bad credit. So she was living with me at the time. She offered to help me out with that. We did that. There was no necessarily written contracts or anything of that
Get
nature.
to what she owes you money for, sir. I already got that part of the story. I finished with that. What does she owe you money for? What do you think? I don't remember my question? I'm not that old. Get there. Go ahead.
Well, she owes me money for the $315. I don't think is a necessary reimbursement. Other than that, the vehicle loan was paid off. There was no written contract for that. I don't think that I owe that money. The $315.
Listen to me.
It should be a wash.
Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I want you to tell me. I don't want you to tell me, sir, that this you don't think is right, and this you don't think is right.
Mm-hmm.
Your defense to this case is she owes me money, and therefore the $1,700 she's suing me for, the loan and the promissory note, it's a wash because she actually owed me about the same amount of money. That's your defense. Now, so you either have two things that you can do. Either you can say to me, I didn't know what I was doing when I wrote my answer because she really doesn't owe me any money. And my defense is, blah. Or you can tell me what she owes you money for.
She lived with me for about 4 months.
Okay, go ahead. She lived with you for 4 months. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, she lived with me for about 4 or 5 days, about 2 weeks, I would rather say. About 2 weeks. But the whole time prior to that, she was staying at my house almost every single day.
Yes.
And that was a matter of bills and whatnot.
Go ahead. So what is she owe?
My duplex ran about $750 a month was my rent, plus the bills. All the bills were in my name. I lived there by myself.
Yes.
For the whole time together, I think that it should be a washout. It's a washout.
When She would come over and stay at your duplex with you. Did she also maintain a room in the college dorm or someplace else?
Yeah.
Did you pay for half of that rent?
No.
Did you ever have an agreement with her to pay for half the rent while she was staying over at your
No.
house periodically?
Mm-mm.
So I want you to go like this. Blah, 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 blah. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,700. That's all.
These are excused. You may step out.
I have about 5 months, bills out.
I'm tired of trying to deal with this, get my money back.
Balance is out to about $1,500.
None of it's true.
I don't think that I owe her the whole amount, or any of the amount at all.
It's been terrible.
Vindictiveness.
She was an emotional wreck. He was a jerk.